I'll let him know that he needs to create an intro for us. He needs to create an intro for us.
Good morning. Maybe good afternoon where you are. Definitely our folks in Liberia, good afternoon to you. We have another Saturday. Today is what? Saturday, July 18th, 2026. Beautiful weather out here for me. I know it's probably the same for you. I hope it's not raining in Liberia. But we are here with Business Talk. And we just hope we have an exciting show for you today that you will relate to. And then pre-introductory stuff from you before we try to jump on this, because but you know what?
No, it's a great
say also. Before you go, let me just share that today is like, if you read my t-shirt, you will see that it's in memory of somebody. So we are I'm in that mood today. My godson, Ronald Quinn, he passed away. My sincere sympathy to the family, to his mom, especially to his dad, Ronald Sr. It's not an easy thing. It's not a normal progression to lose your child.
No, it's not.
Expect the child to bury you. So we really feel for those families. I was, with my mom present when we lost my sister, and she was living with me at the time. My mom was living with me. And I saw for the 15, 20 years, the impact on her losing a child and still being here. Even though you have other children, it doesn't replace that one child. Every child has a special place in a parent's life, So we go through these losses as human beings, and we got to accept them because that's part of life. You are here for some time, you're on the stage, you do what you do. Some people leave early, some people leave late. We just have to deal with it as people. So shout out to and my sympathies to his mom, Ellen Dunbar, and his dad, Ronald Quinn, and his brother, my other little godson. Now he's not little anymore, Fonati Quinn. So, and to all those other people with, losses out there, every day we hear the stories, and we just, empathize and sympathize, and just hope that people can be resilient to move on with life. And to my man Rupert Dempster, he was Mr. Cuttington, that's what we call him. Very diehard Cuttington supporter. He was also a business partner with us in Scorpion Investment Group, a group of Cuttington folks that came together to see how they could invest in Liberia and do stuff. Currently, we're operating a farm. That's what we're doing and working together. So for me, I always believe more Liberians need to collaborate and work together. So hopefully this is just a start of these kind of relationships, but that's the mood I'm in today. Over to you. I know it was long-winded, but over to you.
No. I mean, you put it right. The loss of everyone, the loss of every life, be it a mother, a father, a husband, a wife, a son, a daughter, each one plays a very important role. Each of us, we are unique spirit beings, and we have unique connections to our loved ones. So when that person, according to God's good, perfect, and acceptable will and purpose for each of our lives, when those people are removed and return to their original place from where they came, it's one of those things where all you can do is to sympathize, empathize, and try to be some force of strength and positive, force to help them through and in those times to come out of it. And it's I've never lost a child, so I can't reflect on what that experience is, but I can speak from the position where I've lost a wife and speak on that from that perspective. And what it has done to me is a humbling thing. It's something where you have to realign, readjust your entire life. the way you see life, the way you go through life from that moment going forward. I still wear my wife pin every day just to, keep her with me because, they say a person dies twice. Once when they physically depart, and then when the second time is when everybody forgets about them. And it's one of those things that I just pray for that family that God give them the strength, that they will be resilient in their faith, stand in your faith, your belief, and just, as I tell my children every day, and I always pray in the morning for my wife's soul. And just as Jesus said to Martha when he was coming for their brother Lazarus, he said, do you believe? Do you believe? If you believe in me, as it is written in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him, Jesus Christ, though you die, yet you live. Yet you live. And he asked her, do you believe? And she said, yes, I do. He said, well, but then that settles it. Though he died, yet he lived. And when you read the whole story, the amazing thing is when he got to the tomb, who moved the stone? It wasn't Jesus. He said, if you believe, then move the stone. He said, if you believe, then move the stone. She said, well, he's been in there 3 days. The stage said, girl, you missed the point. If you believe, move the stone.
Man, you're not strong, man, or you real preacher.
The faith is in the action. If you believe, yes, I believe, then move the stone. I ain't gonna move the stone for you. No, you move the stone, you do your part, then I will do my part. It's it, settles it. So, we got to be strong in faith. Faith is the action, and then, if you believe, then walk in it. And the Lord would do his part to bring it in. I'm not saying it's easy. But it's one of those things that we have to do. We've got no choice. But anyway, let's get into the show today. Today, we're all pastors. We're all believers. Some take the call, some don't take the call, but we have to blend the word into everything we do every day. So what's on the agenda today?
Okay,
today?
So
today. You're the cook. So,
we got to apologize to our people. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
So, we got to apologize to our people because we have planned on this show being a show where we're going to talk about, and that's what we advertise out there. We're going to invite a guest. It should have been Mr. Benjamin Fanier, a potential quote-unquote presidential candidate, to discuss the 79 billion currency printing and his perspective, in terms of the infusion, the timing, the need for this at this point in time, and other central bank actions. We're also going to discuss the GSC compliance audit. I don't know if you ever have heard about that audit, but it was a special reconciliation government tax revenue collected through our different transitory bank accounts and the consolidated accounts. So they did a special reconciliation of that, and the report was horrible, in terms of what the findings were and stuff like that. So, but we got sidetracked since Ben did not come on. Now we'll go back to something we have discussed before, a topic that my man loves, the energy sector, electricity for Liberia, and how it impacts development and everything. And it seems like either we are all on the same page nationally, or, people are watching what we're talking about and they're kind of responding to it in the public space. So we managed to, get hold of an interview with the vice president, where he was talking about, electricity, making some comparisons, as well as giving some, tangible examples of, the problem, the electricity problem. But also he was making some recommendations, and we look at some of those and see from our perspective and what we're thinking compared with what he has proffered, and see how, we can share more, and how hopefully, if people are listening, they can introduce some of these solutions into the whole electricity challenge, because it's not an easy challenge. And, I believe he has identified it as the most critical, binding constraint that we have as a country. And I think, we should look at it like that and really, really fight to find solution, because it's really an economic bottleneck, And he gave a couple of
Is it?
good examples, and I'm sure can give more the downstream effect of having electricity, how it snowballs our development. So, we'll discuss that. But first, we want to let you know the structure of the show. We did the intro already. We're gonna have this portion on the on electricity and the vice president, and then we'll kind of provide a little break there where we promote a local business, and this
A
time
local business. Yep.
Moima Plaza Guest House. It's a business entity right on the boulevard. We do a video, and that video courtesy of our own geospatial and technology company, Lake Piso
Very
Solution.
good.
We did
coming
that.
together.
So we share that video. And we also want people to critique the artistry in terms of the art of developing that video and how the video looks. But at the same time, we want you to focus on Moima Plaza Guest House as an opportunity. If you're in Monrovia or you go into Monrovia, as a place where you can go and stay and feel like you're at home. So we'll get to that. And then the final section, we'll try to get some calls in. And we really want people to call in. We want other ideas. We don't want only our ideas to dominate this show, because a lot of people do go back and watch our show, because sometimes 10 o'clock may be early for people in the US, and 2 o'clock is the time that people go into Doma Valley in Liberia and other places. So they probably don't catch the show live. But for you who are live and you who are aware and you who are listening on the radio, we're supposed to be having hopefully it'll be broadcast from Love FM today, 101, right?
Yes, love is being broadcast from on live stream broadcast locally in Monrovia, covering, Montserrado, Lower Magidi, and then it's also being relayed and broadcast live through Kakata FM. Love FM is 105.1 Love FM in Monrovia. So we've got all of Monrovia all the way into Bombay County on that side, and then we got Lower Magidi into Robertsfield, Unification Town, Firestone, and then we jump into being relayed from Kakata FM. So we're covering all of Upper Magidi County, coming down 15 Gate, and then going all the way up into Wiala, and then we jump, and then we are also being relayed out of Banga again. We're being relayed out of Banga again today. So we've got coverage now of this show all the way from Banga on. I think there's Lila FM up there, broadcasting courtesy of Mr. Emmanuel Tokba up there with the station. And then we're now, Rufus is telling us that we're now live in 8 counties. We're in 8 counties streaming, and so we're doing great.
That's good.
This talk is indeed taking shape. Is connecting people on the substance of and we're educating the population. We're educating the voters, the young people, about the most important aspect of the democratic process, right? Which is knowledge, experience. Educate yourself, be informed. We're all part of this ecosystem, the ecosystem, which is the Liberian economy. And the more we become more educated about this ecosystem and the different roles we all play in this ecosystem, even the media institutions have a very important role to play in the ecosystem. As Ava said, there will be a segment, a break, where we'll be highlighting a Liberian business. Well, so the media, here it is, the media houses are playing a part in that ecosystem to support a local Liberian investment, private sector investment, to help to grow that business, because that business is creating jobs locally. You get my point? Yes. You see, that's the tourism sector. But that building didn't just come up like that. That was the construction sector to build that building. Then building trades, the plumbers, the roofers, the carpenters, the electricians, they all played a role in doing the HVAC people and all that kind of stuff there. Then she had to go and bring the cooks, the people who could prepare the food and clean the room. So there's an ecosystem. We all play a role in this ecosystem, and then that business can survive without the energy sector. So, this is very important. It's so important. So we're covering 8 counties today, broadcasting all the way from Bond County, coming down to Magidi County, and then into Monserrato, and then into more. So Business Talk is live, and let's get right into the meat and potatoes. Justin Smith, my buddy out there in West Texas, in the land of pump jacks and oil and gas. He's live on the show. I met with him. We had lunch on Thursday. He and I work for Rexel and USA, and he really enjoys the show. He really enjoys
wonderful. It's good. It's good.
He plugs in. He said, when we're talking about the role of the education sector in the ecosystem, he said he didn't know much about Liberia. So he wanted to call in. He said, no, wow, dude, let me just go to Google first and find out where they got any vocational schools for the students to be able to, when they graduate, to plug into the ecosystem. When he saw BWI and this, that, and the other, he said, wow. Booker Washington Institute, of African-American guy from the U.S. who played a very important role here, went over there. He said, so we're talking about it all. I said, man, this thing, the world is an ecosystem. I mean, everybody is interconnected. He said, man, he's an ally. I really enjoy your show. So a shout out to, we call ourselves the dynamic duo. So to my dynamic duo partner, Justin Smith, out there in the great city of oil and gas, West Texas, Midland, Odessa. Good morning to you. I see you already up and alive and plug into the show.
Well, so welcome to the show, Justin. We're happy to have you. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate that. And just to what you were saying about coverage, I want to add that I'm talking to Kipamas TV and radio station down in Harper, and that's a potential partner very soon. So we'll be able to, support coverage in the Southeast, and we can build that relationship. So yeah, we're looking to see how we can cover as many counties as possible and share the word out there, and stuff like that. And for today's show, that you have been focused on the 179 billion and the GSC audit of all our revenue accounts, the transitory accounts, the consolidated account. And we couldn't do that, but we sent formal communication to somebody from the central bank, to somebody from the GSC, somebody from the LRA, and somebody from the Ministry of Finance to have a discussion, maybe a private sector bank as well, to have a discussion on, this topic and see how we can impact. And we can probably ask somebody from civil society, for next Saturday, and see how we can really have a roundtable discussion on this issue and how they intertwine, because, things like you were just mentioned, we're talking about electricity. We start talking about the VP himself, talking about the tourism sector and the impact and how it can attract people. So everything is kind of correlated in a way. There's some integration, there's some overlap, there's some, interfacing in all these different things that we're talking about. So how we package it, how we present it, how people who are in authority and should be implementing some of these things, what their thoughts are, is all critical to these discussions. So
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Stuff happening. So yeah, so the vice president was at a radio station, and he was having a discussion on the whole electricity issue. So let me see how I can find a way.
Let's play the video. Let's play the video.
Yes, I want to play the video
so at least so everybody can get context of it. And I think it's a monumental moment. As you're searching for that, is a monumental moment. I must give credit to the Vice President, His Excellency Jeremiah Kuhn, for coming around, to honestly coming around to the point where from the time this whole energy thing started off. So let's go to the video. Let's go to the video. Let's hear his words himself as he explains. Go ahead, Alba.
Okay. Let me move over there, because we have to, what's the word for it? Share it on the show. So let me go to the show.
Yes.
And share the that particular.
Yeah, so it's so important that everybody understands this, that what we've been talking about from the energy perspective, the role it plays, how critical it is, that is the foundation of this ecosystem, that without energy, electricity being addressed in a knowledgeable, visionary, understanding way, we're not going to get to where we ultimately as a country want to get to. So let's go ahead. Go ahead, play.
The last time we had a discussion, the president very serious about election. So the president wrote some communications and asked me to talk to B. Martin, talk to Mita, and most of the major mining companies in Liberia. As we had gone to Dubai, the morning the bombing started. And so we got our tickets and everything. But when we were about to move, the bombing started that very morning. And so we came back. Now, if we don't solve electricity problem, everything we'll be doing in Liberia, regardless of which government, will be window dressing. Electricity is the major problem for which this country will never grow unless we touch electricity. Electricity is everything. Look, without electricity, the hospital will not work. Regardless of how much, go buy the MRI, bring the hemoglobin machine, the dialysis machine, and anything you bring in the country, ain't no way electricity can come. When it come one time, boom, 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 the third time it blow acid up in it. Something will spoil. A machine you invested millions of dollars in, you have to move it. Sometimes somebody is on a table, they doing surgery, that person on oxygen. And everything that went up, it costs people life in this country. The health sector will not work, regardless of how much money you put in it, if electricity is not taken care of. Agriculture will not work. Because if our mothers, so that you go on the map back there, you see the put growing, all their little potato green, but also pepper and things. When that woman grew that potato green for 1-2 months, water in everything, and cut the green, put in the big lapa and put it in the taxi and bring it to Red Lake. Our people go in the market in the morning, they want to buy fresh green. So they buy the fresh one. By afternoon time, 2-3 o'clock, the sun will come, all the green get folded. The next morning, nobody want to buy it. 2-3 days, get red, the woman throw it away. And then she get this orange. All the time I spend in the sun. And you know, are they even getting anything for the thing? And I'm going to do any potato green thing again. I will be passing around asking the people to help me with better. It better than to waste my energy here. If you have electricity here stable, very cheap, any of you can choose to build a cold room to a temperature where you can store vegetables. You get a little bigger, you get a little small truck. And just put your number up. Anybody who grow potato green, when they're ready to harvest it, they call you. Call you or client. I get potato green, I get almost 1 kilo, 10 kilo or 1 ton of potato green. You go there, they harvest all. You buy it, put it in your truck. You pay them, come and put it in your storage. Okra, pepper, and even the plum we're doing now. Right now, plum is wasting. So you see the whole bucket at 100 naira. Right after this season, 1 month from now, one plum you can sell that same bucket you bought for 100 naira. For 10 naira, you will be happy to buy. But because there's no storage, there's no electricity, this thing gets destroyed. So let me tell you what the president is thinking now.
Yes, I wanted to know what's your vision for getting rid of the electricity problem so that we don't keep complaining every time. Long-term plan.
To get rid of electricity, like I told you, the president asked me to sit with some of the major companies. I sat with Mita and the CFO of Mita. My conversation with him was, look, the president wants to solve this electricity problem. Mita, you need electricity. Right now, you pay 18 to 21 cents for electricity. You need power as cheap as 10 cents and below to make your project viable. We have all of our rivers, but we don't have that single big capital to invest. Can you do that investment? And we discuss whether we can commit some of the taxes you're supposed to pay. to us. We committed, and this will take a whole of government approach. The legislature, the executive, we have to come together and say, look, take some of these taxes, and when the electricity come up, if you're taking 100, that means 100 megawatt. Take the 100 megawatt for the next 5-10 years until you get. We can have some discussion. We met with B Mountain. B Mountain, besides being mining, they are heavily into construction. I'm told, if I'm right, they built an airport in Ghana. They've done a lot of hydro. As we speak, there are a team from B Mountain in country looking at our hydro map coffee. They are doing the study now. They gave some consent, and they are doing the study now. What are our problems?
You meant to say Meta Steel?
No, we're talking to Meta, we're talking to B Mountain.
Okay.
So B Mountain got a team in country. They are good at building hydro. They told the president in a meeting they can build a hydro for 3 years. They can get it there. Why do you say our hydro don't work during the drought? Because that.
Excuse me, at the same place where we have our current hydro or a new hydro?
Okay, so there was a study done in the 70s. And that study has been proof on. The Via River and the St. Paul River. There's two rivers running to Mount Coffee. But the Via River and the St. Paul River. Those rivers, when they flow in the mix, they flow into the Mount Coffee. But during the drought, it gets dry. This study says there should be a reservoir built. There should be a reservoir built that can store the water, control the flow of the water. Once you build that reservoir, whether dry or rain, you will have always a flow of water, because all you need is the force of the water to turn the turbine. And that's why we make the hydro very cheap. You just need water to flow. The study says, and World Bank has also said that to build the reservoir, the preliminary study showed you need $1 billion. So every time we hear 1 billion, say no need to use that. Well, when we 1 billion, but we got to take a step. If you don't start, you will never stop. You have to start. Some of my discussion with the president said, look, Chief, we may not have the money. We might need about 2 billion to 3 billion in the electricity sector. Because we're not just talking generation. To do the reservoir, to do the turbine. That's one aspect. Right now, the line coming from Mount Coffee to Monrovia, transporting the power, the high tension line, we lost here about 3-4%. Because the lines are smaller, we need to re-strengthen those lines. So every power that leaving Mount Coffee, we lost here about 3-4%. We have 4 turbines in Mount Coffee. Prior to the war, they were the same 4 turbines. But those turbines were 16 megawatt each. When the war came, it got destroyed. People looked at the place. We remodeled the turbine and put the same 4 turbines. But this time we made it 22.0 instead of 16 megawatt. And that's how we got 88. When it got through one of it got problem, and so we lost 22 and we have 66. So during the rainy season, the 66 flow. During the dry, the water go low, then we lost almost everything and only get small from there. Now, if that reservoir is built beside Mount Coffee, right by the reservoir, you can do St. Paul 4. You got St. Paul 1. You started talking about St. Paul 1, St. Paul 2, St. Paul 3, St. Paul 4. St. Paul 4 is projected around 400 megawatts. It's right close to the reservoir. If you put a turbine there, and the guys are saying they can cascade the turbine, meaning they put some here, they put some here. If we can get a 400 or even 1,000 megawatt after building the reservoir, Liberia is ready. And look, when you get that done, the tourism sector will pick up. If you keep $250 million on the low side for 3 years, that's $750 million. Start the project. If they can get it done, whether if they raise 300 million, then we're talking about 900 million. We can pay it in 3 years. In 3 years' time, we tell them, look, keep your money, don't pay us. Do the hard work. Let's tighten the screw. announced to the country that look, these 3 years, the war will not be paying, and so things will get tough. We adjust travel, we adjust other places in the budget to make sure we adjust to the extent that, because we have to take care of the foundational problem. Once we can get that done, in 3 or 4 years, once that project is done, the project is bankable. Meaning, once the project gets up, and the bank ready to put money in it. At this time, you can give Mita 100 megawatts. If Mita is supposed to pay 25, 30, 40 million a year for 100 megawatts, we tell you, we just have this project. We give you 100 megawatts. We want you to pay all 2 years in advance. Or pay all 1 year in advance. We're taking a pay a $3 price. Mountain yourself with me about 50 megawatts. We'll give it to them. All these cement factory, you will see a lot of industry running to Liberia. The market in Liberia is not just Liberia. Look, the foreign region of Guinea, the Transitory area, all the way coming to Lola. You know what? Bosu and all those places. There's a huge population sitting over there. From there to Conakry, almost 1,000 kilometers. It's easier, better to come to Monrovia for their goods. Whether rice, whether cement, and whatsoever, it's cheaper to come to Monrovia. Whether somewhere in the Sierra Leone, the borders outside, around the Sierra Leone border, and so all those people, it's cheaper to come to Liberia for their goods than to go Freetown. In Ghana, the Ma area, in Cote d'Ivoire. So it's a whole market you're talking about, not just the 5.2 million people sitting here. You're talking about almost 4-5 million people in Guinea. You're talking about another 2-3 million in Sierra Leone, and maybe 1 or 2 in Cote d'Ivoire. You're talking about that. So it's a big market. You will see a lot of people running in here to produce and supply this market. If we don't get electricity done, and this is the president's statement, nothing will work. Before I close, in the 60s, and you can Google it, I was trying to find out when Ghana did or hydro. In the 60s, from 1964, 65, 57, President Tubman and Kwame Nkrumah was talking about building hydro. Kwame Nkrumah built a hydro of 1,020 megawatts in the 60s. We did 30. That is to tell you how we think. We think about today. And because of today's thinking, all of us leaders, all of us, and because of today's thinking, the country where it is, we have to think beyond us. And that's why if we tie some money in the budget, and you say the mining sector, look, President Biden said he ran a budget of 600 million. The country didn't point. They started with 80 million, the country didn't point. We have 1.2 billion. We can commit the mining sector. If another go to the TT, but we have to take a bold and strong, because if you go to World Bank and all these people want to credit, they will want sovereignty guarantee and all these things. Look, the people already moving, the resources from the country, they know they got it on the ground, the studies are done, they know they are here for the next 10, 15 years, Mita here for the next 100 years, all the time Mita will be here. Let's put the investment now so that we save ourselves in the future.
Okay. So we heard the man, right?
Very great interview. You know, it's an amazing thing. You know, the gospel of Jesus Christ say that amazing things happen at the foot of the cross. It is at the foot of the cross that I first saw the light. And then when I saw the light, all my burdens were rolled away. So I'm happy that the vice president has come around, that he can truly testify and confirm that without solving this energy challenge, this energy issue, this electricity issue, no matter which government comes into power, comes into place, nothing that we do as a country, as a people, as a nation will amount to anything. So it's a positive thing that both he, the vice president, His Excellency Jeremiah, and the presidency, His Excellency Joseph Yuma Boaka, has now come around to embrace the concept, the idea, the ultimate truth that energy, electricity is the number one thing that needs to be addressed, full force, head on. Because if we don't do it, we as a people, as an ecosystem, we would not survive, we would not prosper, we would not grow, we would not expand, we would not amount to anything as a nation, as a people for the future. And that will put into jeopardy the youth, the young people of this country, and every Liberian business, foreign business, and stuff like that. So, so I'm happy that he's come to that. And I'm happy that all across Liberia today, we're hearing it, we're understanding it. And put that guy's statement up, Leo Lekeli Nupolo Johnson.
Oh, Jumo.
Yeah, he said that this interview is troubling. I don't know why he said it's troubling. He said the VP have outlined age-old problem yet without outlining to create solutions or pathways. Where is the plan? Well, I mean, I think the vice president, he talked about their views based on the discussion he and the president had, which is, an aspect of solving the problem. I may not agree with them. I think there are ways to do it. But again, fundamentally, this is something where we need to peel it as a whole. We'll do another show just on this interview to kind of take it apart. But I think first and foremost, my impression is I'm happy that the president and the vice president have had a discussion and they come to agree that the arrest agenda, right, cannot work without putting in front of it energy, electricity, addressing it. You get
So let me just give the commenter, Leo Lekeli Nupolu Johnson, a very dynamic Liberian. I don't know if you heard of the Liberian Learning Center that's out in Pennsville, near Pennsville City Hall. He is the visionary for that. And because he's an individual who knows that when you have a vision here, you have a plan here, and
that's exactly right.
Execution ability here. So he understands that, and he's asking the right question: where is the plan? So
that's exactly
maybe
right.
if we get the opportunity to bring Mr. Sheriff on, or somebody from the Regulatory Commission, the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission, maybe they can help us with that. But the vice president, at least he broke it down, because the vice president
He broke it down.
That's practical guy. He's
very
not
good.
The most theoretical or philosophical kind of person, but he has broken it down into raw terms.
He's an executioner.
Now understand if they listen,
he's an executioner.
That electricity is the foundation upon which every sector can move forward, right? We can't really industrialize if we don't have enough electricity, right? That government needs to partner. He focusing on major mining companies. I would move away from that, because we don't want to, that solution or that suggestion, I don't think is in the best interest of our country. We don't want to conflict our taxes and our potential mining revenue. That's another area. That's a whole separate show too.
That's a whole separate show. That's exactly right.
Our revenue from mining, our revenue from our resources. I believe we are under collecting. We are not enforcing in that area. We are not monitoring it effectively. And maybe sometimes the people at the table may not have a full understanding of what we have out there. So that assessment for me on all these concessions needs to happen separately, but we can discuss it. Well, we can't tie up our mining revenue into that at this moment. Okay. We can definitely have set contributions from mining that goes into the development of the energy sector and all of that. So we got multiple, locations in terms of the provision of electricity, where it could come from. So why don't we bring all those into play? Like really create that big picture. Where are the more likely spots, whether it's on the St. Paul, on the St. John, on the multiple rivers we have and stuff like that. Who are the different potential partners that can really come and do this, right? We have had overtures from Africa Energy, other people. There's some people who suggest the U.S. Corps of Engineers, because our minerals now, and that's another thing too, we got some critical elements of commercial quantities in Liberia that people
In
like
Liberia.
US, people like China, and other people really want, right? How can we leverage some of those into them, building it for us, not maintaining it, but building a hydro as part of that concession agreement and really holding on to it. So Leo point is right. We need real planning, we need real execution and stuff like that. I applaud the vice president for coming up and facing the challenges and saying how, without moving forward with the electricity sector, there's a high possibility that, or there's the fact that the arrest agenda.
Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. So let me peel this. Let me peel this onion, right? So the onion has multiple layers. So let me try to do a quick dissecting of what the vice president is. I applaud him. I think he, being an action-oriented person, he wants to deal with this head on, right? And he effectively articulated the points. And because of the way he articulated his points, it meant that he really, really, truly did his homework. He gave the diagnosis or the diagnosis of LEC, right? He gave the diagnosis of LEC, saying that they have 4 turbines there. It was upgraded, but guess what happened? 1 turbine went out. Instead of 88 megawatts, they only have 66. So right there, we're default there. He rightly said, dry season, the water go low, we don't have a reservoir, clearly. So I've been saying this, and Robert Morris said this from the beginning in his campaign. So I'm happy that the alignment has taken place. Now, the challenge with hydropower is that doing hydro, there are 2 things you have to take into consideration. Duration, because there are major environmental studies that have to be done. These things don't take 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. They take anywhere from a year to 2 years, depending on how big the hydro is going to be. Because you're going, like the vice president rightly said, you're going to build a dam, you're going to build a reservoir. So when you're building dams and reservoir, what you're going to be dealing with is what? It's flooding. You're going to have to flood massive areas, and that means you're going to affect the ecosystems of those areas. You're going to affect the habitat. There are people who are living in those areas who will have
Can you explain why building a reservoir would cause flooding so people can understand?
Very good. So, like the vice president rightly said, that's why I say I applaud him for having done his homework before coming to the show. He did an outstanding articulation and presentation of the facts. Like he rightly said, hydro is based on what? Energy stored in the water. So in order for the hydro to work, you need to harness the energy from in the water. Hydros that are effectively and properly built and designed and built with reservoir, the reservoir becomes your storage, just how you have your phone and you have a battery, which is your storage capacity for energy to keep your phone working, so that when you go somewhere, you can have a battery pack. That's what a reservoir is. A reservoir is basically a storage capacity for the energy that resides in the water, that you now have to harness it, you store it in the reservoir, so that when dry season comes, you have the reservoir, and then from the reservoir, the water moves into the hydro, turns the turbines, and then they're discharged through the turbines. If you don't have a reservoir like what we have at the current hydro, they have a pseudo dam. We have a pseudo dam there, meaning that the hydraulic doors on each of the turbines, you close the doors and then you force the water to only go through one turbine. You get my point. So it's a pseudo dam. Okay, so there's no reservoir there. So it was built, even though it was damaged, it was rebuilt, the same thing was recreated. Now, so that's the challenge with hydro. The environmental study, the flooding, to store the power, to store the energy in the water, and then the displacement of people, the habitat, and all of that takes time. You're looking at 1 year, 2 years, depending on what is 100 megawatt, 150 megawatt, 200 megawatt hydro. Okay, then you got civil works, all of that. So you're looking at anywhere between 3 to 5 years. Okay, now, Right now, the best thing Liberia can do, the short-term solution for Liberia is that we, like I said on the show last week, you said that's the best analogy. We are already plugged in to the Minor River Union's largest energy generating capacity country, that is La Cote d'Ivoire, by way of Transco CLSG. The Transco CLSG, the 225 kV or kilovolt transmission line that runs from La Cote d'Ivoire through Liberia, 5 substations, and goes into Sierra Leone, 5 substations, and goes into Guinea, 4 substations. That is our best short-term, medium-term, and long-term energy supply. The substations are already there, like the vice president rightly said. Like he rightly said, he did his homework. This investment will not only be in generation, it will also have to be done in what? Transmission, and most importantly, distribution from the substations. So right now, the substations are there. You got the Ganta substation, the Yekepa substation. You've got the Botota substation, which is in the center part of the country in Bon County. You got the Buchanan substation. You got the Mount Coffee Caldwell substation. And you've got the what they call the Mano substation, which is the one there in Cape Mount. That's the last substation before it goes across the border. So the distribution infrastructure needs to be built from those substations to then connect the various counties, to connect the customers in those counties so that we generate revenue, we stimulate economic growth, we stimulate investment, attract foreign investment. And then, like the vice president rightly said, B Mountain is there, they need power. We can then feed them from that substation because we're plugged into La Cote d'Ivoire. The challenge here lies right here. Effective management of the LEC, the Liberia Electricity Corporation, that's where the challenge lies. We need to pay our bills because La Cote d'Ivoire doesn't give power for free. It is a major export. It is a major part of the economy. La Cote d'Ivoire is an oil and gas producing country. So because they produce oil and gas, they take their natural gas and they invest their gas in the energy sector for natural gas turbine power generation. That's why they have so much power. That's why they have so much electricity. That's why the power in La Cote d'Ivoire never goes off. That's why the energy is a major export for La Cote d'Ivoire. Just imagine one country connects power to Liberia. That same country connects power to Sierra Leone. That same country connects power to Guinea. That should tell you how much power is originating from La Cote d'Ivoire. That should give you some understanding of it. Okay, so all we need to do is effective financial management at the LEC level. Now, the vice president, in his solution, like you rightly said, is to go to the mining companies. On that point, Mr. VP, I must respectfully disagree. I think where the solution needs to be is at the LEC. We need to change the board of directors of LEC, bring in the private banking sector. Let the private banking sector be strategic partners to the energy sector. Bring them on the board of directors of LEC in exchange for investing in the energy sector. If you bring the bankers into the process, the bankers will always want to optimize and make the process of collections more efficient, right? More productive, reduce losses. Why? Because they want to get a return on their investment. And then what we do, we map out how we want them to invest the money. And like the vice president rightly said, we invest the money where? In transmission and distribution from those substations into these counties. And that's where the bankers get their return on their investment. And then we make sure that the LEC board with the bankers there can be more effective in managing the company, paying the bills, and making sure that we collect to pay the bills and we are profitable as a company and as a country. That is the best solution. That is the best solution. And like the vice president rightly said, he spoke about our ecosystem concept. Cold storage can be built in different countries as private investment to support the value addition sector of the agriculture sector. And that all feeds into the ecosystem. That is the best way to do it. That is the best way. And I like that word that Leo just said, innovative models. And this is an innovative model that we need to look at. We have a very, very diverse, very, very rich banking sector. We've got a lot more private banks in Liberia, from EcoBank to UBA to LBDI to GT Bank to Tulip Bank to
numbers and quality are two different things, though.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying, bring the banking sectors together, and right. Let's have a discussion.
So it comes back to what Leo is saying about a plan, right? So you broke down the infrastructure to some extent, but in terms of the financing and how we go about it is what we really need to come to the table with, to discuss. And the alternatives, because if you look at the where we are today with electricity, there's a number of sources we can look at. Yeah, we can look at the hydro at Mount Coffee. It can be our large hydro. There are opportunities for other hydro in a decentralized way at other, places. There's also the opportunity for solar. Solar, we can have solar farms. They just did the 20 megawatt solar farm, I believe. And a lot of people, a few people have actually called me to say the electricity is better right now. It could be the addition of the 20 megawatt. So it's stable and more people probably getting electricity on a consistent basis. So limited complaints. There's also the sense of natural gas. I believe, what's his name? James Tiatape was supposed to be bringing a company in to invest. I think they have already started some talks with natural gas. So to the extent that we can incorporate biomass and waste to energy and other things like that, because right now there's a lot of positive things that are on the horizon for Liberia, from the Carbon Market Authority, from how they're going to address waste, how do we handle the environment, all those things, they all apply. And then what you just said, but is that the West African power pool that comes through Cote d'Ivoire? Or that's separate?
No, West Africa Power Pool is an integrated transmission grid.
Right.
Liberia is part of that pool. Cote d'Ivoire is part of that pool. Okay. Ghana is part of that pool. That's an integrated transmission grid network that it's no different than Virginia.
So is that what Transco is doing? Is
Transco, yes. Transco is not a generation company. Look at the name, Transco, transmission company. That's what they mean, Transco, transmission company. They're just a move. They're like FedEx. FedEx only moves your package from your house to where you want it to go. That's all Transco does. That's all, and they charge you to move the money. That's all they do. They charge you to move.
So they're moving that WAP. They're moving the WAP power. Whoever has it.
No, Transco is part of WAP. They're just a grid within WAP.
It's all the same group. Okay,
cool. It's an integrated grid,
right?
But La Cote d'Ivoire is a generation. Is a country that generates a tremendous amount of power. Their power company is called CIE, Cote d'Ivoire Electric Company. CIE, Cote d'Ivoire Electric.
Right.
That's like LEC. So Cote d'Ivoire Electric generates, but they cannot move the power from La Cote d'Ivoire to Liberia because they don't have a transmission line. So the transmission line company that moved the power from CIE into Liberia is called Transco CLSG. So you buy the power from CIE.
But is that sustainable for us? I don't think it's something we want to do, right? That's why we got to look at our larger national options in terms of how we can, like Leo was saying, innovative models and a mix of electricity, anticipating where our future, use of electricity will be progressively over the next several years, several decades, and be able to build something that's sustainable, that can endure long term. Because we're just talking about how the reservoir, reservoirs are great, but they may be limited in terms of when we look at the long-term solution to electricity. And whether we like it or not, we are on the brink. It's Leo and them and the other younger people who really will carry their country forward, and they will be there for another 40, 50 years.
That's exactly right.
So what is it that's there for them? Like Leo has his the Liberia Learning Center. They're using solar and probably they're using LEC, but they don't have the problem that other people in that same community will have in terms of being able to access electricity. Okay. So these are, the kind of things that hopefully we'll get Mohammed Sharif to come to really break down the vision of Liberia Electricity Corporation in terms of national electricity, the targeted areas, and all of that. So
very good point. So you being a project management certified professional. You're project management professional. And as you know, so let's look at this from the project management perspective, right? So you've got to look at our short term. We've got to have a short term plan,
right?
A medium term plan and a long term plan. Hydros are not short term or medium term. They're long term. So we're going to have to move them into that basket. When you talk about hydros today, don't get people all excited about all the wrong things. You've got to give them all of the details. You don't start talking. You cannot go to Amazon and click on, I want 2 hydros today and deliver them on Prime tomorrow. No, that's a 5 or 6 year delivery type project, depending on the megawatt capacity. If it's 100 megawatt power plant, hydro plant, you're looking at 3 to 5 years. Why? Because the environmental studies. Turbines are not there. Hydro turbines, just the delivery, you're looking at about 2 years. Just the delivery on the turbines. I'm not even talking about the conceptual design that you have to do with the civil engineering company that needs to be put, the environmental study and all of those things. You're looking at 3 to 5 years, depending on the size. That's why hydro, you put them as your long-term strategic plan for your energy power generation. The best thing with waste gas, you brought up waste gas. So the mayor of Monrovia, you want to keep the city clean, you want to get the city clean, sell the garbage. We can invest in waste gas in outlining areas, build incinerators, and use the waste in landfill and take the landfill gas and generate power, methane. Okay, there's a very big company in the US, it's called Waste Management. They bring all the dumpsters into your area, they pick up all your garbage. Waste Management, look them up. They're a major power generation entity. They buy the garbage, they own all the landfills. They take the garbage, put it in the landfill, cover it up with dirt. In a couple of years, guess what? You got methane coming out of the ground. You harness it, you buy the generators, you plug it in, it generates power, you parallel it to the grid, you clean up the city because now everybody's selling garbage. And the good thing about Liberia, Monrovia, most of our garbage is biodegradable, except for the plastics. That's one side. Okay, that's a medium-term type project. Let's go. So when you look at the Transco CLSG and the CIE option, it is the shortest and fastest, most impactful way to solve our energy issue. You look at solar. You brought it up, solar. The current solar energy project, right? The solar farm that just inaugurated, it's only 20 megawatts. It's only equal to 1 turbine. You heard what the vice president said. There were 4 turbines, 22 megawatts each. 1 got damaged. If you look at the inauguration of the solar farm with the battery, guess what? It's only 20 megawatts. So that whole solar farm is only equal to replacing 1 turbine. And what did the vice president say? When the dry season comes, the water goes low, you can't run all 3 turbines. You got to shut 2 down, force the doors to only run 1. So if you add that 1 solar in the dry season at 100% capacity, With the one turbine active, Mount Coffee, you only got 40 megawatts. The current load demand for Monrovia right now and all the outlining areas is what? It's over 125 megawatts.
Way over that.
So
way over that. I'm saying, and what Leo is saying is we're dwelling on that, right? We know the problems, but what is that plan for the future? The increased demand, the consistency,
the problem lies the problem lies in LEC's management. The guys are not managing the financial aspect of the business. Energy has different components. Energy, as I've always said, it's a business, Abba. It's a business.
What components are they not managing that they could manage better?
The financial aspects.
That's too general. Is there a way to be specific?
Okay, let me be specific. Let me be specific.
Is it theft that they're not bringing the revenue? What is it?
If you say theft, very good point. If you say theft, people always blame power theft. The LEC people would tell you power theft, one. They would tell you energy losses, two. They would tell you lack of responses, right? But the overwhelming challenge in LEC is the mismanagement on the collections. If you don't pay La Côte d'Ivoire on time, they're going to cut you off. That's just it. And if you as LEC don't understand the business of energy, that you as a power company focus on what you do best. You generate, you transmit, you distribute. Your operations and maintenance aspect, you need to take it out of your core business, because if you increase your administrative and operational costs, what happens, Ava? Your operating expenses go too high and your collections, your revenue stream is low. You're running in the red. And if you don't pay La Côte d'Ivoire on time, they're going to cut you off.
But we got to understand too the whole political aspect, because a lot of people on payrolls at these utilities are not competent. The work that they're supposed to be doing, they're not really doing. So it's a political thing too, because many of them were put there from different political arrangements and stuff like that. So we have to look at that. But when we come to actually trimming down, operating like a business, like Leo had just said, that's, if we bring Mohamed Sharif here, he will say something different, right? It's not supposed to be, and we can look at the strategic plan. I'm sure they have some KPIs there, and they got a plan for sustainability, but implementation and realization are two different things. That's what, we have to really look at. Where is it that the leakages are? And Leo, you raised a point before. We are not really looking at our domestic resource mobilization capability, right? We are leaving a lot of revenue on the table all over the place. We just look at the GSC audit of our, and not just a tip of the iceberg, folks, in terms of the leakages that exist in our financial system in the country. We look at that audit where the compliance audit for our revenue and the bank accounts and everything, where some of the money that's being built is not, we don't see payments for them. There's no reconciliation there. The money that actually hits the transitory accounts at the different commercial banks is not equal to what's being paid from those accounts. And then there's transaction. There should be no other transactions on those transitory account, no reversals, no payments, nothing except the money that comes in directly from the taxation and the money that goes out. So we got a lot of leakages in these different accounts to the tune of just, what they discovered there, that tip is $300 and something million, right? Then when we look at these concession agreements themselves, the Mo Stevens report was clear that many of our concessions were illegal. We look at our the concessions agency that's supposed to, the Bureau of Concessions, that's supposed to be monitoring these concessions. Even when people in communities raise issues and stuff, they go to the city, investigate, they come back, there's no real reconciliation of what they have done, what they have not done. So mobilizing our resources is something that really needs to come to attention. I know they announced the other day at the discussion of that audit, the Minister of Finance, I believe he announced that John Muller was supposed to be coming in with a team. That would be wonderful, because John Muller has done it in a couple of other countries already, identify huge amounts of money that were being leaking. And as a former Auditor General in Liberia, I'm sure he knows where our bones and our skeletons are, in terms of our financials. So it will be helpful for us to really identify those things, for us to really look at these concessions, for us to really look at the history of some of our investments and how we have lost them, So yeah, we need to really, really turn to domestic resource mobilization and see how that 1.2 billion we got today can go to nearly 3, maybe even 4 billion, because the opportunities are there, the resources are there, but are we collecting on them? Are these mining companies and stuff running schemes on us? Are they doing a lot of transfer pricing that we're not getting any dividends from wherever business they're running? Are they just operating on a loss that can't account for anything for us? So all of those things are factors that will drive the economy. But I think it gets
that's exactly right.
To see if we can take a break. I know the discussion is sweet. But I think it's time for us to take a break. Let's take and come back and try to close up, because
no worries. Let's take a break now. Let's feature that Liberian business, the guest house. Let's take a break and feature. We'll be right back.
All right. So let me share that.
In the heart of comfort and tranquility, there's a place thoughtfully created just for you. A place where every guest is welcome with warmth, care, and a genuine sense of belonging.
Like a puzzle. So if you want to advertise your business, you can check us out. The Piso Solutions. You can do the aerial footage, you can do the videos and everything, and promote your business as well. 14.
Step into comfort. Feel the elegance. Relaxing spaces designed to make every moment effortless. Whether you are here for business or simply to unwind, your comfort is always our priority. Surrounded by peace, you will find a perfect balance of rest, ease, and quiet luxury.
Moima Plaza Guest House is right on the boulevard. You got monogram towels. That water flow looks good. Toilet seat looks strong compared to a lot of toilet seats.
Welcome to Moima Plaza Guest House, your home.
That's a major investment there.
Yeah. It seems like every apartment is like a studio by itself with the living space, and cook, and bathrooms. It's on 16th Street
Mohima.
and Tubman Boulevard. Right at the intersection there. It's kind of not too far from Royal.
Yeah.
Those are the contact numbers. I wanted to pause it for a second. For those who want, 0777924 2424. And then that first number in local rego, I gotta ask anybody. So I think it should be 779 242 424. So because the 889 242 424, and then the 555 658 707. And if you want to send them an email, info@moimanplaza.com. So let's just finish out. So if you got a business out there that wants to be, us to provide free advertisement for them, please share that information. We are here to help as much as we can. I need to stop sharing every time again. Oh no, we're not sharing anymore. Okay, so we're back. Again, support Moiman Guest House if you can. And let's see how we can support other Liberian businesses on this show. That's the idea. We want to.
That's the idea. That is the idea. That is the idea.
Librarians to collaborate in business, everything like that. So, again, mobilizing domestic revenue has been a major challenge. We've been talking about that from the time Ellen came to power, and we're still not there. We still have a lot of gaps, but we got huge opportunities. That's what we got to look at, the upside of where we are today. We can really double, triple where we are, and really move our country forward.
You know what? One of the most important parts of harnessing domestic revenue is mainly taking advantage, right? Or the word is exploiting present day technologies, right? That allows you to see things in real time and be able to address whatever shortcomings there may be it, from collecting revenue from the water side, right? From water distribution or from Liberia Water and Sewer. Or it could be from garbage collection, or it could be from electricity. It could be from telecommunications. It could be from GST. What are the means currently being used? I mean, are those means traceable? Do they provide traceability? I mean, can we effectively track them? What means are being used to track them? Because if people are doing things in January and you can't on January 1 and you can't catch them or detect those problems by the 10th, the 15th, or the 20th of January, you're only finding them out in December, you've got a problem. Why are we finding these problems out now? Is it the system being used for traceability or tracking how these monies are being collected? There's no connectivity there. There's no monitoring there. There's no flagging in the system to detect, improper collections or things like that. Because from the energy perspective, or from any IT professional who's listening, okay, in the IT world, you have what? You have bandwidth management that you put into place. You have content management. You want to shape your traffic on your bandwidth. You have all of those things you put into place. On your computer, you put what? You put antivirus there. So somebody try to attack your computer with malware, you can detect it. So it should be the same way in that tax collection world. If those things are not being properly done, there's got to be some system you put in place that allows you the ability to track it, to detect it, raise a flag, and then be able to identify where the problems are coming from. You can't wait until, December of every year before you come back and say, well, we got an audit report over here, and then you find out that the money was shortcoming in July, but you're just finding it out and blowing the whistle in December. No, you got a problem. This is a fundamental problem. We're not maximizing technologies. We're not using the right technologies. We're not applying the right technologies. And sometimes it could be the critical nature of the energy sector that doesn't allow these technologies to be put into place. Like the vice president said, you know how LEC can come, right? When it comes the first time, the second time, the third time, it blows everything up. So if you don't have the proper defenses and technologies in place to protect the servers and everything else that will run the software, that poor power grid is going to destroy everything. It's going to destroy everything. So again, I mean, I don't understand these audit reports from the, I'm not an accounting professional, but I'm just saying there should be some kind of flag-based system in place that you can detect early on improper reporting. I mean,
what did you say earlier? Technology is not being used properly, right?
It's not being used properly. It's not being applied. It's not being applied.
So that's one of the major challenges with all these systems, and the fact that they don't speak to each other. You don't really check them. The bank's not reconciling on time.
Yes.
That reconciliation on a daily basis, on a daily basis. We're not doing that. We're not validating and verifying the information being sent and stuff like that. So there's a lot of holes that need to be plugged when it comes to that. But I think we've done a great job for today. If we get into that discussion, we'll not be able to get out right away. So I personally don't want to, just at a high level, I can share some stuff if you want me to. Otherwise, we can just close out this on the electrical stuff and be able to.
No, what I want us to do, is we can take these two topics, right? The audit report and everything, like you use the word just a high level. For some reason, apparently, since business talk has come back on the air, Ava is operating in the stratosphere, and I'm trying to catch up to him. Every time he's using these catchphrases, today he's a higher level, which I like it. I like it. He came up with ecosystem, and now we're building on the ecosystem. Now today he wants a high level, which I agree. So what we do, Ava, we take these two topics, right? We take the audit report, right? We do a whole show about how the technologies can be applied properly to address it, and why technologies are not being done. That's why these problems. I mean, the audit report you're talking
and maybe
about.
You can invite some technology folks. We can invite somebody from LRA and some technology folks.
Yes, that's exactly right. We do it at a higher level. So we invite people who are in the tax field, talk about different things and stuff like that. And then we do a show dedicated just to that. Then we open the phone line for people to call in and talk about things. Then we do another show on the energy side, and we bring some people in for them to talk about it from that perspective.
Yeah.
You see, because like the vice president said, whether you want to solve the tax thing, you don't solve electricity, you're wasting your time. You want to talk about the education side, you won't solve electricity, you're wasting your time. You want to talk about value addition and the tourism sector. Look at his latest hotel. That latest hotel is I saw all of the high-tech stuff, the microwave and everything she put into those apartments. Everything depends on energy. If LEC goes at that low rate that she's buying energy for, by the time she puts on the diesel, that generator, she's paying diesel for $6 a gallon. Her cost just went up.
It's expensive.
Once that generator goes on, her losses stop. And her profitability depends on what her cost of energy and her occupancy. The hotel business is all about occupancy. It's all about occupancy.
Right.
See, and the greatest tourism, the greatest population of tourism in Liberia is not expats. It's Liberians. It's Liberians from the diaspora. Liberia has a different tourism population. So, I think that what we should do, do two different shows on these two key topics, because they're all tied into the ecosystem, because the ecosystem has to grow, because tax revenue needs to be collected and reconciled and then applied into the ecosystem to invest in different sectors. Okay, and then energy sustains the ecosystem, because without energy, the ecosystem goes off. It dies. It can't grow. It's not sustainable.
Right.
And then we can invite different people on and stuff like that. And we look at it from that perspective. You know, I don't want to be the only professional on here talking about energy. No, I want other people to join in. Let's talk about this thing in a positive way. Because at the end of the day, like the vice president said, we're all in this thing together.
And that's
You
the
know,
thing,
like he
right?
said.
So
Yeah,
his
like he said,
discussion, this
yes,
show, all represent that we understand that electricity is foundational for Liberia's development. So his connection of power to different industries, you know, you are to give example in healthcare, agriculture, industry, mining, tourism, and even regional trade, which is wonderful. It's the practical demonstration of how important it is, and it should be a persuasive case to the president or whoever got any doubts about the significance of electricity. That is one of the key things that will transform our country. So we now have to look at how we develop the execution or the implementation of that plan, or even build an actual plan that aligns with those things. And that's where I think the VP discussion fell short a little. But I think he was clear. He kind of said it. He said the other one for the other people. So now, whether that the Ministry of Finance, whether that LEC, LERC, all of them, they got to come together now and really look at the options, because I personally don't think, you know, mixing our future mining revenues with this, it will expose the government to some fiscal and political. Because especially we are not, how should I say, legislating our development plan or allocations towards that development, not legislated. It's every year. So any new government come, they can change anything that happened before. So you don't want to include that fiscal and political risk in what you're doing. And then to look at it just like that, you know, structuring bankable public-private partnerships, they are complex things. They are not simple things. Experts are required. So we need that. We need a better strategy about how we implement this electricity plan, or national strategy that integrates our domestic resource mobilization, that can create fiscal space for us as well, that government can be spending on other things while at the same time focusing on the major infrastructure projects. Whatever multilateral, bilateral financing agreement that comes with that kind of stuff, we got to look at it. Our own current equipment, because we were talking about just the technology around electricity, and Leo was talking about the innovation. They advance. We probably got the same way with our water system. We got some old infrastructure. How do we elevate and upgrade those? That's why they got the VP was talking about $1 billion. To me, it's about $2 to $3 billion that we're talking about to really get this sector going. Then we talk about interconnections, all of those things. They are very our future.
The thing is this, Abba, like, you know, you're a project management professional, right? You're PPP, you're a project and PMP, you're a project manager professional. When you call out $1 billion, right, for the sector, $1 billion over how many years? That's the question. So
it's all about how you structure the plan, right? And how you build. But he was just calling a number. I believe he was just calling a number.
Agreed. I agree.
So they got to come together, put all those and you know, international institutions, reports and assessments and evaluation, and be able to come to that core point. And that's what being a part of the LEC strategic plan, right? All the previous information, the desk study that whoever was developing that plan, whatever they were doing, all of that should have come together. So
I strongly advise, I will close with this, then we can go to our closing. I strongly advise, recommend, suggest, and counsel the Vice, His Excellency Joseph Dimam Boaka, and the Vice President Jeremiah Ko. When you approach energy, electricity, don't, and like he said, regardless of whatever government comes in or goes out, okay, don't look at it from the perspective of who's going to win. If you do that, then what you've already done, you've eliminated some of the best minds who could help to solve the problem. You get my point? The focus should be Liberia, Liberia, Liberia. Short term, medium term, long term. That should be the focus. It's not about who wins the game here. This is not a game. we're talking about people's lives, futures, and destiny. You're talking about people's investments into something. It's not about who brings about the best solution. The focus should be the best solution needs to come forth. Build a team of competent people. Disagreements are a great thing. Why? Because if we don't disagree, then we won't know where everyone stands. I and myself, we don't always agree. We don't always
but how
agree.
would you agree? Although that's too
Yeah. No, we he got to stake his position. I got to stake my position. He's got his expertise. I've got my expertise. I got to know when I need to speak on something because he's the best qualified. And then he said, you know, I mean, you're the energy man. You speak on this. So when we're building the team, get the right people on the team, regardless of whatever political affiliation. The focus needs to be Liberia's future. And then once you build the team, let's sit. And sometimes connecting with people doesn't have to be a public event. It can be a private discussion with the respect for what? For non-disclosures. Okay? So, I mean, this thing is not a complicated thing. What makes it complicated is when people who don't understand what needs to be done are placed in the wrong position, and then they're just trial and error, whereby they're destroying the entire economy. I don't believe that this energy issue is complicated. I don't disagree. I don't agree with that. It just needs to be addressed with the right people on the team. And then the right actions need to be taken. The right key performance indexes need to be set into place. And then the right actions need to be dealt with. Like you said, some of these people on payroll, they're political. Get rid of them. Move them to the private sector. If you truly want the results, then you're going to have to make tough choices. And that's what leadership is all about. So let's take these two things for two separate shows. We make the banner, we put them out so everybody can know what we're doing next week. We either talk about the VP energy thing next week, or we talk about the audit thing next week, and let everybody prepare their questions and everything next week. Then when we talk about it, we open the phone lines, and then we go from there. Okay. Well, time is far spent. Let's do our closing and take off for the weekend.
Right. So, we always want people to call in and ask questions. Unfortunately, it seems like we don't get any of that. We have Rufus. Rufus, I know you've been listening to the show.
You won't give us a couple of minutes for people to call in?
If anything you want to add,
yeah, we can call.
In a way, you can ask people to call before we leave, just in case some people have questions. We are open, for a few.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Go ahead. If you're out there, put the phone numbers up there, Rufus, so people can see the phone number. Let's hear what some of the people have to say today.
So the numbers are 0887 105 105, 0778 665 073, 0887 105 105, 0778 665 073 are numbers to call and participate. You've been listening to the conversation. You can have your say, and the lines are open.
But what do you have to say about the show today, Rufus? The way we dissected the vice president interview, and also about this audit thing and stuff like that. What is your take on it?
Well, actually, I was
give us the ground effects, because you're on the ground.
The men were not listening. The men were doing different things.
I was between. I got to follow up on the show as well, doing what I was doing behind the scene here. To catch up with the time attached to that. But it is actually, it was very good. You dissected the issue well, and it gives a clearer understanding. When it comes to legislative, we give you a thumbs up. You know your area, that's your area. So you gave all of the expertise when it comes to that, and you made it plain for the understanding of the layman. The vice president spoke at his understanding, and you who is actually schooled in that area, you simplify it for the layman understanding. So it was quite interesting and wonderful. So we look up to the folks to actually phone in to hear what It's all about when it comes to their understanding and what needs to be done, like you requested to get their own side and feedback. Because in communication, you have the messenger, the message, the receiver, and that of the feedback. So you send out the message already. So the receiver receives the message and gave feedback. So now we are awaiting the feedback from the public on how they understood the conversation. So 0778665073 0887105105.
I think I have a caller.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, caller.
Yes, this is Leo.
Leo or Neo?
Leo Johnson. Leo Johnson.
No, he said
Hey,
Neo.
Leo Johnson, how are you?
Right?
Leo, L-E-O.
He's Leo. Leo
Oh,
Johnson.
it's Leo. Okay. Leo coming from a different number today. That I'm confused. Yeah, Leo, we're listening.
I wanted to make an input. Yeah, I mean, great conversations. And, I mean, very enlightening. What I was interested in some of the things I was talking about. I know your co-host there mentioned CIE from Cote d'Ivoire. Right? CIE was privatized since 1990.
Right.
It's a private company that runs the entire Liberia electrical system. The reason that is important is because then government can have an oversight regulation and put the pressure on a private actor who understands the dynamics of business and the business of public service to be able to do it. But the next thing is, we don't have a case for support. I listened to the vice president and he did extremely well, unpacking what the challenges are. But this is what we've heard from government in time to government to government. What we haven't heard is government announcing some drastic plan to say, we've assigned a team of experts that in the next 12 months, they'll be rolling out the next 50 years of our pathway to sustainable energy. To what does it look like? And they will also be costing it out in terms of what would it cost us. And then they'll be identifying the revenue pathway as to how we would get there. This is the problem I've had with the arrest agenda and all the agendas for previous government. These agendas are put out there, nobody tell you a costed out plan. What would it take for the arrest agenda to be achieved? There's no costing.
No, but I think the arrest agenda was costed though.
Where was it costed?
With the arrest agenda for inclusive development, I'll see if I can find it, but I believe there was a costing. There was a costing to it.
If that is the document that was released, it's not costed on the agenda; it's costed on the year in the budget. I'm talking about the costing to achieve the actual. For example, if I say sustainable energy, is it costing the arrest agenda? How much it will cost us to achieve sustainable energy in Liberia? I believe
they had it in there, but I can confirm it for you. But I don't. I think the budget is different. I think the budget aspect is different.
It would be great to see if it's costed over what period of time. Would it take us 10 years?
No.
And
that's
there you go. That's exactly what I was saying. That was what I was saying earlier. That was what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was somebody saying something?
No, I was just saying, I'm agreeing with what Leo is saying. Remember when I said $1 billion? $1 billion over how many years to achieve that goal?
Yeah, no, it got to be spelled out. It got to be spelled out.
Yes, it needs to be spelled out.
And
yes.
I think that this is where the conversation should be. We should be pushing our leaders now to say, you say it's $1 billion to do this thing, great. Over how many years? And tell us where will you raise the money from? Because then we have a way of holding accountable. We'll also have a way of measuring.
Measuring, that's exactly right.
What progress is needed to be made to get closer to that goal, to make that goal realistic. But when I listen to all our public leaders, I still hear them regurgitating the problem so expertly well. What I haven't heard them trumpeting, you talk about the arrest agenda. Why are we even asking for where it is? They should be trumpeting it with a constant thing to it. It should be on the road, on these visits abroad. That should be developed into a case for support. It should be so well articulated by now that all of us should know. In our little meetings, then we should be talking about it. But instead, everybody trumpets the problem, but we're not trumpeting. If there are the solutions, like you said, and plans, where are those plans? Let's get it out here. Let's turn it into a case for support. Nobody's going to come help Liberia without a case for support. Nobody will help us only based on the articulation of the problems. People will only help us when there is a case for support. That's
exactly right. That's exactly right.
What Leo is saying, I went to the arrest agenda. I hope I can get to it. I think it's page 184, figure 60, the cost estimates. Let me see.
Yep.
Let me zoom this a little bit and I will share the screen and we can.
You see, Leo, what Ava is doing, that what you're talking about, you see, identifying the problem, that's not work. Because you can take 10 different people's identification of a problem, repackage it, and make it your own, identify the problem as well. The real work comes in when you start to actually figure out what the solution is.
Okay, so
identifying problems are not work. Figuring solutions, that's where the real work is. So that's why you see people don't want to work. They don't want to work because when you to identify solutions and then move from identification to actually executing, that's where the work is. So they always stay.
We keep hanging on to these old age solutions that were given to us 20 years ago. We keep running with, we should build a reservoir. You know how long ago since it was identified that we needed to build a reservoir? Over 10 years. And here we are still talking about building a reservoir when it's gone 10 years past. That era has already passed. We need a 2 to 3 year current research that tells us what we need to do, and not a 10 year ago to identify a reservoir as a solution.
So can you guys see the screen?
We can see the screen. We can see the screen.
I'm not watching that, but maybe we can read the numbers.
Right. So the arrest agenda has here the AID annual cost estimates from 2025 to 2029, or total of $8.38 billion, right? Okay. 2025 or 1.26, 2026 or 1.68, 2027 is 2.26, 2028 is 1.
Electricity,
no, not only electricity. I don't think it's passed off by it passed off
the problem.
in 5. So but let's see if we can find the cost for electricity now. Infrastructure, energy. They got total cost $759 million.
How are you that is crushed the surface?
That number is too low. That energy number is too low.
That we just had?
Right.
That number makes no sense.
And so they talk about 113 million in 2025, which has passed, 151 in 2026, and 205. So it will be good. It will be yes, Pascal. It will be good to really have the LEC folks here and the LERC to see whether we even reach this target.
I would like you to bring them to this place the way the vice president was articulating the problem. I want to bring them to this type of conversation. So let's look at your numbers.
Yeah.
If you, Mr. Sherry, had this money now give it to you, can you tell me confidently that you can solve Liberia's long-term energy problem?
No, not with these dollars right here.
No.
So it's just not possible with these dollars.
That's what I wanted to point out. I want to say we don't have a case of support. Because any serious investor, you look at $700 million to solve that, right? They can't even build you a small hydrogen house. They can't even build a reservoir. The vice president said a reservoir will cost over $1 billion.
And those numbers are not far-fetched. Those numbers are, you say, I think it's less than what it really would cost from a total, like across the country. Yeah, it's more than that.
Yeah.
To get.
So what is the disconnect with the VP saying their assessment was over $1 billion, but then when we look at the arrest agenda, it seems amounts way more.
But just to be realistic,
everybody's doing their own thing.
Yeah. Basically said it's a wish list that we do at the beginning of the term, right?
Exactly.
And then we lay it down. This should be a living document that the government is operating with, benchmarking against, being able to say, look, we had $113 million here, but that's not realistic. It will only cover X, Y, Z. So but unfortunately, I don't think there's a culture of honesty and truth in general when we're dealing.
Adjusting that for inflation. What 700 million was 2023 when you were
but then
2 years later for inflation is not even the same.
I look at this again. I look at 2025 number. 1.2 billion total estimated cost, and then I look at 2029 number, that the same number. So I don't. It was it just a copy and paste thing? I mean, this is disappointing. Now I'm just looking at it.
You see why I'm telling you, when you point the conversation to the right place rather than regurgitating the problem, right? Because we are not a problem now.
No, we gotta be solutions oriented. We have to be solutions oriented.
And this is the solution the government has put forth. Let's unpack it. It's not adding up.
Yeah, I don't understand this. Somebody gotta explain this. 2025 and 2029 numbers being exact across every sector, every category and stuff.
It's divided evenly. It almost like you just divided it evenly.
Even I done it for the other 3 years in between here, but I don't understand.
Exactly.
So somebody got tired or probably working. They went to 2027. Oh, they're 2.2 billion too high. Well, let's start reducing it. Then they so folks. No. It's solid. It's solid. It's something that we really need to focus on as a country, as a people, because this is.
Can you please send me that link?
I was saying the document. Yes, I was saying the document. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for the info, Leo. I think Leo info alone serves the purpose.
No, you know. Again, this is why I don't believe the LEC people will come to a show like this. They would not come.
We shouldn't prejudge them. Let's send out the invitation.
Okay, that's fine. Let's send out the invitation. Because the thing is this, right? Energy. You remember when we were talking last week about the Ivorians, right? We're talking about the Ivorians, right? And there was a section in the Ivorian. The people, please call in while we're having the discussion. Please call in. The numbers are there: 0887 105105 or 0778 665073.
I mean, we got only 5 minutes here. I got a hard stop. Y'all can stay on.
Don't worry. I will stay on with Rufus. Yeah. So call in, please. The thing is this, right? Energy, if you look at what we're talking about the Ivorians last week, the Ivorians had a plan, they had a song, and everybody repeated that song all across over the years. And people bought into it. It was a top-down at every level, at every layer. That was what they did. And then people bought, like what Leo said. If you bring investors, okay, the investors want to make sure that the person who's talking about the energy sector is somebody who's competent, who's knowledgeable, who understands the sector. You get my point. You see? And the thing is, people don't even understand the Transco grid. The Transco grid is designed in a way that makes it so easy for Liberia to invest in the energy sector. I'll prove it to you. The Buchanan grid, there's a substation already there. The breakers for distributions are already there. So we can augment the Transco supply from La Côte d'Ivoire by getting an investor to invest in solar energy in Grand Bassa County. You get my point? So you can bring the banking sector into that, investing in that, and that substation can feed that power, and the investor can get the return on investment from all that they want, the connector, the connection, and the customer that connect on the grid. So we can reduce our reliance on CIE and increase our dependency on our local generation. Solar power is faster to deploy, is faster to implement, and it generates faster. It will help us in the dry season, and then we can rotate back to Côte d'Ivoire power. Why? Because Côte d'Ivoire power is always available all the time. But you need the right people to sit with the investors that will give the investors confidence that you have the right people who understand what needs to be done. If you don't have the right people at the table, the investors will not put their money into it.
Great.
They will not put their money into it.
On that note, I totally agree that we need planning. We need, a clear definition of what this total thing would be, like you said, like Leo said, and be able to really then see year by year how we get that funding, who potential partners are, what we implement, how we can monitor and measure and evaluate what we do. So on that note, I want to say thank you to you guys. I know you will keep the show running for a little bit because people want to call in and people may want to participate. I have a hard stop. We really look forward to future conversations. This is very interesting stuff, very learning stuff. We ourselves will learn as we go, and that's why we need input. Everybody saw today, Judumo, Mr. Smith, Leo, the input they had and the impact it has on the discussion and elaborating for more people to understand what we're doing. So Rufus, thank you for being a cornerstone. Kenan, we appreciate you. I'll leave it with you guys. Y'all please handle it. And Rufus, you in the studio, you can definitely end the stream when the time comes. Thank you. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.
So the numbers are 0887-105-105, 0778-665-073, 0778-665-073. Better still 0887-105-105 are the numbers to call and make your input. We're talking electricity, talking about development. Without electricity, come on, you listen to the panelists. They spoke lengthily on the issue, breaking down to the simplest. You listen to the vice president message, and they dissect the issue and brought to you for your common man understanding, so that you know how important the whole electricity business is. So you won't say, "Oh, justice income will come in so far." What needs to be done to upkeep the electricity during the dry season? So the numbers are available. You can call 0778-665-073, 0887-105-105. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, one of the things, like I said, I'm very excited about the fact that the vice president has now come around to understand the role that energy plays in the Liberian economic ecosystem, and that the ecosystem has so many interdepending parts. You look at Kakata, Upper Magibi County, Kakata being the county capital for Magibi County. How can the economy of Kakata grow? The transmission line runs right through Kakata. You got the substation at Morris Farm. And how can, jetty concession at Salala create more jobs if he doesn't have energy? He can't add value to the rubber. The people who are doing other rubber business within that economy of Kakata, there's nothing they can do. They can't grow, they can't expand, more jobs. Their businesses cannot succeed. Why? Because the cost of buying gasoline and buying diesel fuel for them to run is too costly. So energy within the economic ecosystem of the Liberian economy, it affects every aspect of growth, job creation, and the people who are impacted the most as a result of this are the young people, the youth, the farmers, the people, like the vice president said, the people who are planting in the field, and there are other people who want to buy and process those vegetables, the bitter ball, the kittilis, and everything else. But they can't do anything because energy is not there to support the people who want to invest in the cold storage industry. The cold storage industry, that's a whole business by itself. And I think it is so important. It is so important for us to truly understand this, the role that energy, electricity plays within the ecosystem. That's why it is so important. I urge the vice president and the president for them to take a critical view of the management team at LEC, because if you have the wrong team in place on something so critical, something so vital, they will actually make sure that none of the president's plans, hopes, dreams, and aspirations and policies for the growth and the development of the country, none of them will ever work. No plan, nothing can be executed by the vice president or the president of any administration as it relates to Liberia's growth, development, job creation, and attracting diaspora and foreign investment will work if you have a team at LEC who do not understand the business of energy. Because as I always said, energy is a business. It is a business. If you have people who don't understand the business of energy, they will make absolutely sure, confidently sure, that nothing the president does, or that everything the president does as it relates to development, growth, job creation, attracting investment, none of it is going to work. So it will appear that the president is not doing anything. Why? Because the people he appointed at the LEC level, they're just incompetent. They just don't understand the business of energy. They're not applying the right policy. They're not applying the right things. They're not collecting the money. They're misusing the money. They're pocketing the money. They're blaming it on power theft, whereby they're not paying the Ivorians. If you don't pay the Ivorians after the Liberian consumers have paid you, that is also power theft. That is
okay. We have. I guess Leo's on the line. Hello?
Okay, very good. Bring Leo back on.
Yeah, hello, this is Leo.
Yes, Leo.
Hi,
Go
Leo.
ahead.
Good, back again. How are you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. Just been listening, and I wanted to make a few points additionally.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Leo. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger conversation here. I think we get too lenient when we're talking to public officials to say they need to look at these institutions and look at how they run and look at who to move. I think that's being very lenient, to be honest with you. These institutions I manage directly under the government. These institutions are not functioning properly. In most cases, a lot of them are stuck to fail the way they are set up. And it has been like that for a long time. Those in power now have been in government before. Helm of it. You know, the Honorable Vice President was now legislature. The current president was the VP for a long time, working in government. It's been 3 years. Most of these institutions do not have direct KPIs overall that they need to report to the government.
That's exactly right.
Measuring them by year after year. What is their performance?
That's exactly right.
Right? And these institutions should be functioning better. So for me, we can talk all the big dreams and all the big plans without the first step of setting up institutions properly. Every government after government, they take over the lead these institutions just in place like the same way they were, expecting a different outcome from them. So sometimes you bring the best person in there and they still flop because the institutions were set up to fail from the beginning. And I haven't seen any leader in my lifetime that has been bold and drastic enough to dismantle some of these institutions and set them up in a 2026 structure and iteration. Most of them are just set up in the 1960s and 70s. How they function. So I think when you come to the fundamental pieces, instead of just looking at them, it's a bigger problem that needs drastic action. And I don't see why they can't do it. There's no excuse. These people work at the will and pleasure of the president. The president can dismantle and reassemble these institutions.
That you are 100% correct, Leo. I'm all on this energy issue. I'm on record on multiple shows, and I've always said that a company like LEC that plays a very critical, vital, central role to the Liberian economic ecosystem. As the vice president, he himself, I'm happy that he testified publicly on record that nothing we do would ever amount to anything unless we solve energy. So he's on record already. And that I believe that the leadership at LEC plays a very, very critical role. And those people should not be paid monthly salaries. They should be given They should be compensated based on performance. It should be performance-based compensation with what? With distinct KPIs attached to each position. Held accountable for those KPIs. Because if you don't do that, then there's no motivation for the person to address inefficiencies in the system, lack of productivity in the system. Losses in the system, and losses can amount from mostly on administrative costs and operational costs. So I firmly believe that if the vice president and the president are having these discussions and that they've now agreed that energy is the Achilles heel for their development and transformational and address agenda, then they need to look with both eyes at the management team at LEC, because based on over the past 2 years, is it 2 years right now? Am I correct? That team has not performed at all. They have not performed. They have not performed. They have not produced the results. And so why would you? I mean, every time when they can't pay the bill in Ivory Coast, they blame it on Transco doing maintenance. I'm an electrical engineer. My specialization is power generation, transmission, and distribution. Okay? A transmission grid is a static network. Nothing moves. How many times you going to do maintenance in 1 year? 6 times?
Yeah. Well,
every time when you pay the bill.
The question would be, now that the Vice President and the President have made this open admission and acknowledgement, how come our current budget for next year budget is not reflecting that? How come is LEC staying at the same status quo? If this public admission and acknowledgement by the President and Vice President is something to go by, then the budget should have been reflecting it in the Liberia government budget for 2027. But
that's exactly right. Yeah. So in LEC, let me put it this way. Now, Leah. Let's look at it from this perspective, from the financial perspective. Rufus, you can think about this as well. If you increase the number of subscribers on the grid, the amount of GST collected from every transaction of recharging on that grid is increased to government revenue. So LEC is a major revenue generating aspect of the Liberian budget. You see, and that's why
that's a security asset as well.
That's exactly right. It's a vital national security infrastructure. So again, my point has always been, and I'm on record. Rufa would tell you, I'm on record, and this is something I've been talking about for the past 2-3 years. That when it comes to LEC, you guys don't take anyone and put them there. You don't just take anybody and put them there. You've got to factor in that LEC is vital to the success of not only your administration, but to every successive administration, because LEC is a legacy institution. The legacy of this country depends on LEC. So if you put a team in there and they cannot produce the results, but produce countless excuses, day after day, week after week, month after month, Transco is doing maintenance. You're not paying Transco. So when Transco cuts you off because you didn't pay the bill because of power theft, because you didn't pay the bill, but you collected the Liberian people's money from the consumer side to the commercial department, but you didn't pay the bill. Then you say Transco doing service on the grid. No, we need to solve this energy problem. We need to solve it because it's going to kill the young people's energy and aspirations. It's going to kill Liberian businesses who are trying so hard to invest in our economy and dominate our economic situation in the country. The young people are looking to find ways for more industries to create more jobs. Rufus, you and I were just talking about this last week. Graduation season. All the universities and colleges across Liberia, the vocational training schools are graduating, putting out graduates. Where are the jobs? The only way jobs can be created in the Liberian ecosystem, economic ecosystem, is through LEC. LEC needs to be on 24/7, 365, 24/7. We need to build a 24/7 economy. And the only way to do that is to have a leadership team that understands the business of energy at LEC. And if the team that is there is not producing 24/7, 365 energy all the time, but only producing excuses 24/7, 365, they got to go. And the vice president has already made it clear. LEC, if we don't solve energy, we're not doing anything. We're not going to succeed, Mr. President. So if that team cannot produce the results, but they only produce excuses, Mr. President, they serve at your pleasure. Call them into your office and fire them all and get them out. Get them out, because they're going to make you look bad. your policies, your programs, your projects, your arrest agenda is going to fail because that energy, that team you have at LEC can't produce the results. They're going to fail you. They will fail you, and you will be the one that everybody will say that the Boycott administration, Unity Party government failed because the LEC team that you appointed and serve at your pleasure, they failed you. And as a result, you failed the people of this country. So if they can't produce the results, call them into your office, line them up and fire them all and get them out of there. Get them out. Fire everyone from the top down. Get them out because they can't produce the results. They don't understand the business of energy. They got to go. They got to go. They got to go, Mr. President. You've got to make a decision. It's a tough decision, but you've got to let them go. Because without the right team in there, they cannot produce the results that will support your agenda for transformation, your agenda for development, for value addition to agricultural products, for value addition to our minerals, for value addition for investments coming in, diaspora coming in. It's not going to work. So callers, call in. Please call in to the show.
0778.
Call into the show. Let's talk about different things here today.
0778 665 073 0887 105 105. And for those of you following the live feed, the WhatsApp number that's pinned on the screen there is for diasporans. People from outside can call the WhatsApp number, and those of you back home, you can call the local lines 0887 105 105. Better still, 0778 665 073. Call and participate. A closed mouth is a closed destiny. So the issues at hand, you talk about it. Your leaders are listening. You have the technical know-how, like Mr. Philip. You can proffer those ideas. You see, Mr. Philip, I can remember the 2023 elections. He started on this conversation with electricity, and it yielded very fruitful results. People got to know how, I for one, I learned how the process worked, and going forward, started to follow all of the trends of events, the actions of those who were at the time at the helm of power at the LEC, how they worked, and then came in the new government taking over, changed management twice now. And we know very well that electricity, without electricity, we cannot have companies coming to this country, large industrial companies to actually operate. So the economy definitely would just be on a little level, and not to like what we used to have back in the days. You have the factories, like the shoes factory, the iron factory, the glass factory, chicken soup factory, all those factories, all those names you hear today from those areas, they came about because they had operations of these things there. Leo is back on the line. Let's hear Leo. Leo is back on the line. Leo, let's hear you, my brother. Leo?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, Leo. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, the line dropped while I was on earlier.
Yeah,
I've just been listening. And again, for me, I keep saying, why we applaud the vice president for his, unpacking of the issues. And clearly it seems that he's been doing a lot of work in understanding this issue. I didn't hear next steps. I didn't hear that in the next 12 months, we've assembled a team of experts to do a vision of LEC and to come up with recommendations of where the gaps are in knowledge and expertise to tackle this issue. I didn't hear that we've taken the analysis to look at the numbers on reservoirs versus what other smart ways that we're going to do a hybrid system. For example, we're building a system for the next 50 years. We can be building a system for normal days. Everybody's still designing on coffee hydro like they used to. Instead of saying what type of coffee hydro we need for the next stuff of like the next 50 years, especially with climate patterns that we are seeing that are emerging. With most countries are struggling to figure out how to adapt their systems, we have a beautiful opportunity to build it from scratch. We don't need to adapt it. We need to now take the realities and build for the next 50 years rather than trying to adapt what other countries are struggling to do, given the changing climate patterns that we see. There's no excuse. We don't even need to beg people for $1 billion to fix LEC. We do have the revenue in Liberia to actually generate. We can't leave our revenue opportunities in Liberia passing around begging people. And it is a requirement, it's a must. All of those operating in our sectors, our taxes, for example, we're collecting a road fund. Why are we putting the road fund to road? Why are we not putting the road fund to electricity first? And priorities. How do we set priorities? Solve one problem, get to the next, and set those problems based on priority. Clean drinking water. Monrovia is one of the wettest capitals in the world. How in God's name in 2026, access to clean drinking and pipe-borne water is still a problem? We are still building hand pumps and calling them morning hand pumps. That is not okay. That is completely inexcusable in my opinion. So I would like to hear the next steps, either from the VP or from our leaders, rather than just telling us the great analysis of understanding the problem. Now, where do we go?
Like I said earlier, Leo, identifying problems, speaking about problems, highlighting problems is the easy part. It's very easy to identify problems. It's very, very easy to highlight problems. The real work, right? The real work, the thinking process is where you have to develop the solutions. And you understand it. I mean, your project that you did with the Liberia Learning Center, okay? You had a vision. To bring that vision, to bring that thing from the realm of the spirit, to bring it into the physical, to get investors and everything, you had to put that way. That's where the real work is actually done. That's where the real work is done. The real work is done when you have to actually develop, to derive, to think, to conceive, to initiate solutions. That's when the real work is done. So when you see people who are always highlighting problems, you already should establish the fact they're confirming that they're lazy. They don't want to work. All they want to do is they want to highlight. I've always said it. The energy sector is key for Liberia's growth, development, and economic progress. When you see people who don't understand the interdependency of the ecosystem, right? The telecommunication sector, or your learning center is part of the education sector. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's part of the education sector, correct? Am I correct? Okay. Yeah. So that education sector, the robustness, the success of it, because you're molding minds, you're shaping the mind of young people to find their place in a future in this country. Will they be engineers? Will they be scientists? Will they be, medical practitioners? Will they be lawyers, doctors, whatever it is? Whatever profession they choose to become or to place themselves depends on a robust, a strong, viable energy sector to enhance that sector. You see, so that when those young people are out of college, they can the companies have grown. Energy helps micro business to become big business in the future, because energy is the power you need to grow. So most times, Leo, our leaders, the people who call themselves leaders today, they take the keys, they get in the car, they put everybody in the car, and guess what? They can't even read the map. They put everybody in the car, take off a red light, go past Mount Barkley, go past number 7, go past 15 gate, get to 30 Junction, continue to go, and they're telling everybody in the car, we will soon be the Bullwater stop. They're going north. They're telling you that they're going Bullwater south, and then you can't question the guy. My man, you sure we're going to Bullwater? I said, my man, you know how long I've been driving? I'm not asking you how long you've been driving. Do you know where you're going? Because 30 Junction is going to be on the road of going to Bullwater stop. You see, and this is where we find ourselves. when you're talking about hydro energy, when you bring that on the table, it should already be an established point fact that you're not talking about something that would come to realization in 2 years. No. Hydro energy, you're talking about a 5 or 7 year, depending on the capacity. There's a big project that the Chinese is called on the Yangtze River. I think you heard about that dam, right? On the Yangtze River. Google that project and find out how long it took the Chinese to build that hydro. How many years? The one that they're building in Ethiopia on the Nile River. Find out how long it took Ethiopia to complete that dam. Hydropower is not something you do in 2 or 3 years. It's a 5 or 7 year project. So you put it in the long range project plan. Solar, you can deploy solar in 6 months, in 12 months, depending on the capacity. You just need what? You need the acreage. That's all you need. That's all you need. That's all solar asks. Do you have the 30, 40, 50? You can go to Google right now. If you don't believe me, Rufus, go to Google right now. Just ask Google, how many acres or hectares do I need for a 50 megawatt solar power plant? Google will tell you. Google will tell you how many acres you need or hectares of land you need for your solar. So if we already have we as a country, Leo, we are plugged into Transco, and Transco is plugged into the Mana River Union's largest power generation country, which is La Cote d'Ivoire through CIE. If we're already plugged into there, our short-term plan should be built around the 5 substations that are already in the country operational. Building solar power plants at those 5 substations. You get what I'm saying? You get my point, okay? So if the vice president said $1 billion over how many years? Get the private sector to invest. Get the bankers to invest so that the bankers become part of the development plan. Because the bankers will want more depositors in their bank. They will want more depositors because energy improves the quality of life for everyone. Energy attracts foreign investment. Energy stimulates the ecosystem of the country economically. Energy creates more jobs. Energy elevates the quality of life for people. Energy allows more people to buy TVs, computers, and everything else that will increase demand, so the power company benefits and makes more money. So why is it that we don't understand it? It's simply because our people don't understand the business of energy. And so you have people in positions that are supposed to make the critical decisions for the country's future, and they don't understand the business of energy and the role that energy plays in the country's development, economic transformation, job creation, and how to create a strategic balance between the banking sector and the energy sector so that we can find a solution that will benefit the country's short, medium, and long-term goals and objectives for development.
So the question he asked, to get a 50 kilowatt solar power energy, you need between 0.25.
How many acres?
How many acres? So the acres
you need for a 50 megawatt solar power plant?
So okay, megawatt, I said kilowatt. So for kilowatt, have 0.25 to 0.5 acres. So
put megawatt, put mg, put mw, put mw there. Put megawatt. Just ask Google. Google will tell you. That's how simple it is. Google will tell you how many acres you need. So if we've got all this land beside each of the Transco substations, and the breakers are already there, and the Transco grid allows us to move power. If we generate 50 megawatts or 75 megawatts on solar in Grand Bassa County and tie into that, we can move that power from Grand Bassa County and move it down into Cape Mount to be used. because Transco allows you to move power along the grid.
So
So
it's
you've got
200 to 250 acres.
there you go. The answer's right there. So if you got 300, let's say let's increase it to 300 acres.
Yeah,
because
to 300. Yeah.
You want to put batteries and everything there. So about 300 to 350 acres. That's 50 megawatts. 50 megawatts is more than enough power for Grand Bassa, and you can feed it into river sets and power up the southeast. And power up the southeast. So, I mean, and that's a short term that you can get Echo Bank. You can get Echo Bank, GT Bank, UBA Bank, all of these other banks to become partners and investors in that, and they get their money, they get their return on investment from all the customers who will connect and then pay. So there's a viable solution there. But if you don't have the right people with you, Mr. Vice President, to sit and discuss these things, then how will you get the right solution?
Mr.
How will
Philip,
you get the right solution?
there's this thing here. Over the period of time, I don't think as to whether the strategy being put in place to curb this issue of power theft is really effective. They complain about people using the energy and now wanting to pay. You have a lot of power theft issues. People are being arrested on a daily basis, taken to the police station. They are fined to pay fines, and where are those fines going? All of those things. These are major things. So, what, in your own opinion, what can be done to curb the issue of power theft? Because this is one of the major challenges that is faced with LEC.
Very good. Very good point. You bring up a very good point. So let's look at power theft from two perspectives. Let's look at power theft in the right hand. Let's look at power theft in the left hand, right? So let's focus on the everyday understanding and knowledge of power theft. Power theft, as I've always said, I'm on record of saying it, power theft is an indicator. It is a positive indicator to any energy company that there is a what? There is a demand for electricity. The population understands how important energy is and how important electricity is. Why? Because it enhances their business. It allows them to make money. It allows them to generate revenue, improve their quality of life, improve, pay their children's school fee, run their business and everything. You get my point, okay? So that's why people want to connect. Now, there's a cause and there's an effect of power theft. One of the biggest causes of power theft, I'm not justifying anyone's actions. LEC's slow response from the operations and maintenance perspective to failures on the grid, right? So let's say Dupero, for example. Okay. You've got a transformer up on the pole. The transformer is 75 kVA. So you got maybe 100 houses connected on that transformer. Right there, you've already surpassed the capacity of the transformer. You get my point? Okay, so now somebody who's connected on that transformer, the guy is running his 2 or 3 freezers, he's doing his ice business, he's making his money and everything, he's got his meter there. And then there's a blowout in the area on his side, something happens to his meter. And he's put a call into LEC, right, on Monday, January 1st. January 2nd, January 3rd, January 5th, January 2nd, 10th, 15th. LEC hasn't even responded, haven't even dignified his trouble ticket, his call. And guess what? The guy he's running a business. His children's school fee needs to be paid. He's got customers, he's got to demand that demanding his ice or his cold water. Now he's running on generators. He's trying to be as honest as possible because he's called LEC. Hey, LEC, there's a problem in my area. The transformer where my meter burned. I'm trying to get a new meter. I've been going after it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't get a response. So now you see the problem now. So what does the guy do? He bypasses the line. He bypasses the line because he's got a business to run. I'm not justifying his actions. But I'm just saying, LEC from the operations and maintenance perspective, they're not efficient. So the inefficiencies is what? Is the provocation. That's the cause of the power theft. You follow what I'm saying? People, so it's a cause. Power theft doesn't just happen because people want to steal power. There's a cause for it, and then there's an effect for it. So if LEC, that's why I've always said, power companies, even in the US, the power companies, they subcontract the maintenance and operations aspect of their business. Because if you try to do everything, your operating costs will go so high, your profitability will go so low. So that's the whole issue. Power theft is simply because the problem that I happen, you call, if people call on the line today and they will tell you, I've had a problem with my meter. I've been calling LEC for the past 1 month. Nobody has called me back. LEC is not responding. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? So
let me play the devil's advocate's role. Now that we found out that these big institutions, those our foreign brothers who have these cold stories and all those kind of big operations, the LEC, one point to the other, they have beefed up their patrols, they have beefed up their response. You got to understand meters are being provided on a timely basis, but yet still you have somebody who will bypass the meter. They have just a minimum weight on the meter, and the heavy weight is being bypassed on power theft to feed their system, where they having the big machines and all those things. What do you think? What do you think is responsible for that?
Very good. Very good point. Very good point. Very good point. So you're talking about the distribution and the connection. The you're at the point of you're at that's off the pole, coming from the LEC grid, whether it's a transformer, and coming down to the meter. So that's where it's just like here in the US. They tell you right there on the thing, the guy, only someone who's licensed and certified can make those connections. So the LERC, this is where this whole thing ties into place. The LERC, the regulatory entity, should be certifying electricians. They should certify electricians. So only certified electricians should do the installation of the LEC meters. Why? Because you want to document who did that installation. Because that person who's a certified electrician should have a license number, just like your ID card. You get my point? Who did that work? So if the electrician who did that work will put his license on the line to do illegal connection, then guess what? Grab him. Grab him, because he was certified by the LERC to do what? Professional work.
We have an international call coming through.
Okay, let's go.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. This Joe Cassell calling.
Hey, Joe. California.
The state of Nevada.
Nevada.
You guys, I've been listening to the show. Very educational.
Thank you.
Learning some things in the process. But I think the LEC situation, is a symptom of a broader and larger social problem in Liberia. We even go as far as saying, a cultural problem. We don't believe in problem solving. Whenever a problem crops up, especially on a governmental level, we try to outsource it to, what we call, quote unquote, development partners. And so that's, we need to probably get started from scratch. If we want the next generation, and it's a generational thing. We need the younger generation. What we need to do is introduce critical thinking in our schools, root and branch scrap our curriculum, because that's the only way we'll solve our problems. Because what we see as problems sometimes those are opportunities. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Shift from lecture-based teaching to discussion-based learning. Encourage students to ask why and how, not just what. Because this thing, it goes from one generation to another generation. We just need to go look at the root cause, and it's just like I said, root and branch. Just scrap it. Go start from elementary school, maybe. Or maybe even kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
We're discussing it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It has its roots in how we teach people to
How we
analyze,
think.
how we teach our kids analyze. Analytical thinking, has to be a mission critical component of how we teach our students. Rote learning, where you go, they give you five questions and you pick the right answer and stuff. No, we need to throw that out. Let people start to look at things critically. Let the students start to look at things critically. You will get a new society.
Yep.
As it is, it's not working at all. We talk about LEC, but that's a deeper cultural problem in Liberia.
Your point is well taken. You are 100% correct. We are a society of people who we just learn to accept things. We don't want to question things. We just accept it and roll with it. We accept it and go along with it. And you use the right words today. Critical thinking. There's no critical thinking on our part. We believe that everything exists by itself, forgetting about the truth of interdependency. You get you understand what I'm saying, Rufus? I mean, what he's talking about is we don't look at the big picture. We only look at one thing, like the vice president was saying, is the way we think. And I've always been saying that it's the way we think. We think wrongly. We think very small. We look at one thing and forget that one thing we're looking at is interconnected to so many other things. It's interconnected to so many other things. So, and that's where, like you just used the right phrase, critical thinking. Critical thinking is questioning everything. Not that it is wrong, but you're just questioning it. Why you want to go down that road? I'm not saying it's wrong, but just explain to me why we should go down that road. Why do you think we should move this from here to there?
Through critical thinking, you get problem solving.
That's exactly right.
That's what I was meaning to.
Yeah.
Certainly.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I used to run my internet service company in Liberia, the young guys who work with me, I would tell them, you guys go there, do the site survey, and come back and present to me where you're going to mount the visa, where you're going to run the cables, and how you're going to connect the customer. You guys go there, come back and present to me, and I'll sit there. And they say, well, we need 2 bags of cement. I say, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? I'm not saying it's wrong, but just explain to me why. You need 2 bags of cement and 1 bag of rocks. I say, you think that's a good mixture? You don't think you have more cement than rocks? Why 2 bags of cement? Why 1 bag of rock? I'm not saying it wrong. Just explain to me. So they started learning that, man, we got to make sure we got to have all the answers, because when we come back to Mr. Phillips, he would sit there and he would cross his legs and he would put us to the board and he would tell us to explain. So they started learning to work together and ask each other all the right questions. But man, why should we run the cable this way and run it and not run the cable? So by the time they got to me, when I said, okay,
they already found the answers.
They already found the answer. They already knew. They were okay. So if we do all this, so how much do you got? Yes. So they all knew. Don't just come back and give a list. No, I didn't say it was wrong. I'm just asking you Why? Why?
One of the things I've noticed, especially for our own generation, we hate to be questioned.
It's like Joe just said. It's because that's the way we've been raised. We've been raised to accept things and not question things. When I question you on something, I'm not saying you're wrong.
You get irritated.
I'm just asking you. Yeah, I'm just asking you. Just explain to me why. Just explain to me why. So at least I can understand the way you think. I just want to understand why you came to that decision. That's what I'm asking. I'm not saying because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you're only judged on what you produce. Am I right or wrong, Joe? What you produce. What you produce. If you go to a meeting, with any, if you go to a meeting,
your signal's very, very bad.
Oh, can you hear me now? Yeah.
What you guys say?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but what I'm saying is we, like Rufus is saying, our generation, we are products of our upbringing. So if that mindset is within the society, then everybody coming out of that society is going to be the same way. So that's why he is saying we need to now start a whole new way of thinking, which is critical thinking, to question things so that we derive problem solving. We derive problem solving because the real growth and the success and the prosperity is not in identifying the problem. It's in solving the problem. It's in solving the problem.
Exactly.
You turn on the flashlight. Okay, you turn on the flashlight. So what's next?
Yeah, we're pretty good at identifying problems. That's what we know. But how do you solve the problem? That's why I said instead of solving it, we have a tendency of outsourcing it to other people. The World Bank, the ICM, and all things that can be solved within the borders. So you have to look at a problem and throw some systems thinking to it. Do some analysis, critically diagnose the problem. I think we'll be in a better space.
Not only that, you see, Joe, I can hear you. The point you bring up is this, right? Our society is afraid of problem solvers. This is the thing. When you bring a problem solver to a society that's heavily weighted by people who identify problems, what happens is they become very, very threatened and insecure. You see, because they're so used to highlighting the problems and not solving it, that when the problem solvers come, the problem solvers all of a sudden start producing results, and people are moved from one side to the other side, not based on you identifying the problem, because it is solving the problem that transforms people's lives. You get what I'm saying, Rufus?
Mr. Ferrer, just in addition, the issue of that, we push away people who come with the solution to those problems because we see that problem as a means of our chopping spot, where we can amalgamate wealth on the expense of the ignorance of the people.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
If that man comes with the solution, that means my eating spot will close. So I rather showcase that there is a problem, but the solution, the tangible solution to solve that problem, I won't come up with it. I will cut just a bit, because I see it as my own means of getting wealth. All of the ignorance of the people.
And the thing is this:
that problem solving is a multi-billion-dollar business.
Oh yeah.
Now McKinsey and Company, they make billions of
dollars
with different, developing countries solving the problems. Because what we see as a problem, they see it as an opportunity, and they've got all the critical thinkers, those guys.
And the thing is this, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy that
billions of dollars, something that the government could have done themselves internally. They outsource it to McKinsey, and McKinsey bring their consultants. They get paid millions of dollars, and that problem goes away in about 1 or 2 years, depending on the contract. So, there has to be a seismic shift in our way of thinking in Liberia. That definitely has to be.
Yeah.
We just can't we're in 2026 and we're still talking about the power grid having problem
I can say for a fact, not that the people who are there don't know the solution to the problem, but they see it as a means of enriching themselves. So the more let's take for instance about the housing activities in this country, right? Government back then were actually leasing private buildings for ministries and agencies. Now, we saw during the regime of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, they erected the ministerial complex that now hosts about 6 to 7 ministries. The fundings that were directed towards rental fees annually have now shifted in another direction, because you no longer pay rental fees for those ministries and agencies any longer. You have their own buildings. So that problem has been solved.
How much the government saved in that process? Now, you see how that problem was solved? The problems are just so simple.
Simple. So the people know the issue, but they see it as a means of enriching themselves on the ignorance of those who they are dealing with.
Yeah, but the thing is this, though. The thing is this: if you look at the multi-ministerial complex, right, a major achievement by Her Excellency Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She identified a problem. She researched the problem. She found a partner to help to bring about the problem. And what did she do? Like Joe said, she made a bold decision, an uncompromising decision, that I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to stand beside it and stand behind it. And I will push it and drive it to produce the results for transformation. You see, so sometimes it's not only just identifying the problem, and then bringing about the solution. You've got to be able to drive that solution and stand up against the political winds. Because again, most of these people in these positions, they didn't just climb there, they got placed there politically. So removing them is going to take a bolder decision on the part of the so-called politician who put that person there. You see, because I mean, if you accept the fact, let's go back to what the vice president said. If we don't solve this electricity problem, regardless of what government come, what government go, we'll never be successful as a people. Very bold statement. Are you prepared to make the political decision to say that the leadership, the management team at LEC is a failure and we need to get rid of them? Are you prepared to do that? Because each of them serve at the pleasure of the president. That's the question now. Are you going to stand behind that bold decision? And are you going to assemble the right people, regardless of political affiliation, whatever the case is, and say, I need a plan and I want to hold you guys accountable to it? That's the question. That is the question, because like you said, I mean, it's not just identifying the problem, it's deriving the solution, but then also what? Driving the solution and going against the political winds. And that's where the challenge lies, because winning elections is one thing, but then governing and leading up, they're completely different things. They're completely different things. The election is the easy part, but not governing and leading And that's where the decisions have to be made. And most of the decisions, they will be against your allies because of they can be for or against your allies, but you got to drive, because at the end of the day, your name is on the administration. Is that the person who you're appointing? Is your name, your brand. But thank you, Joe. Thank you for calling, man. Thank you for calling. Thank you so much for listening. I hope everything is out there good with you and the folks out there in Nevada.
Yeah, he's gone.
So because we got 10 more minutes, I got to jump. But if anybody out there can call on the show,
0778 665 073 0887 105 105 0887 105 105 0778 665 073 are the local lines to call. And for those of you in the diaspora, you can call the WhatsApp line pinned on the screen there.
Yeah, you were saying something about the.
Okay, we got a local caller. We got a local caller.
Very good.
Hello.
Local call.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
How are you?
Fine. What is Johnny Potter? I'm calling you from the party.
Let's hear you, Mr. Parker.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make my point for what I want to follow you that thing that there's a line out that it's still Okay. The issue of the meter, that point I made is very serious. You know, whenever you have a meter problem and you go to LDC, complete your LDC problem, you complete your meter to go there and say, make a complaint. You make a complaint. You capture the complaint and then you return the capture for the complaint. But you expect them to call you maybe in 1 or 2 weeks' time. But on the contrary, you defeated them. As for me, I have kept my complaint like almost 3 weeks now. They call me already and tell me, say, oh, are you the one that brought the complaint on the meter and all that? I said, yes. They said, okay. So keep the phone on. My brother, I can tell you that I have been seated to my house now waiting for them to bring the meter, or they have to recall me to see what the next step to do or what else to do. There's no reason. Now I'm about now to go now to make a follow-up again. So some of those things is sometimes you're not careful. Sometimes you want to put yourself in the other way around, and do that thing that you call power test. And you don't want to be a test. You want to be a regular person because someone will have problem. So now I leave my house, I go out on the sea, I spend more time there. I don't want them to not come behind me and be my children on power test, then if I was there, I'll be invited now to do it. So for me, most of the time, I like to be on the safe side. Because my minister was strolling away from me on my house. So tell the computer everything else, everything to permanent intervene is a problem. So when they power test, sometimes they can click on the video and not on the efficiency that the fellow was just talking about.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's get to the line and talk to this other person. Hello.
Yeah. How are you doing, my dear brother?
Wonderful.
Thank you. My name is F. Kulukudaya, and I'm calling you from this weekend on the whole.
Let's hear you.
Yeah. And then I grew up in, I'm calling Morally, I grew up, and I'm not 60 years. He continued from all the way more than decades. And my question to you and those that are in studio, will President Wakai or President Wakai be able to solve this whole current issue within 3 years' time? That's my question.
Oh.
My question here is, will this present government be able to solve all the current issues that our fellow there was speaking? They are one of the equals of land to do, they are one of them, bigger wise and all of these things. Will this government be able to do it within this period of time?
There's something we normally say, it is actually a fight. Government is continuity. You got to set the foundation. You as a father, you came from the offspring of another parent, right? Your great grandparent set the pace for your parent, and now your parent brought you forth. You are there to continue from where your parents took your great grandparent vision from, brought it to where it is, and now you are taking charge. So the government will now serve everything at the moment, but they need to set a foundation. Mm-hmm.
Then we have to proceed for the next generation. The issue of corruption in the country, we put no punishment, nothing. It will be hard. It will be hard. Because one person is able to blame us of that when one day they say we're going for protest. We're going for protest. Then how will we? There's no question to you people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so well. You know, this is a foundational issue. So when you are building, as people who are involved with this engineering business, if the foundation is not solid, what you're going to experience there is when the building is erected, you'll find in few months or years time,
cracks
will start coming through.
Right.
So if you have a system put in place, and when that system is put in place, it sets the basis for continuity. Anyone who comes to breach the system, the folks, even the lower men, will get to understand that you are deviating from what is being set. But at the time, come see our city, even our founding fathers, the vision they have for this country, it was too small.
Very small. That's exactly right.
They never had the money. They were not looking at. They were not foretelling the future that the population will increase. We need to expand. We need to do this. Now, go ahead, Mr. Phillips.
No, your point is well taken, right? And that's why, again, if you look at Ivory Coast, you look at Ghana, you look at Guinea today, the Ghana did it back then with Nkrumah's vision. And what was his vision? What did he focus on? He built the Akosombo Dam in that relationship with Kaiser, the American investor in bauxite. They don't mind bauxite, but guess what? He built the power plant there. He built the hydro dam there. And the deal was he would bring the bauxite and use the cheap energy to process the bauxite. You see? Process the bauxite and export it back to the U.S. And Ghana got the energy, and what Nkrumah built the power grid to all the different parts of Ghana. And
we got an international call, Mr. Philip.
Go right ahead. Let's bring it in.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? I go, Al, man, what's up? I got your call, I got your message.
Hey, good morning. The
gentleman just called. It's a prime example of why there's no progress. I'm not calling to criticize him. He does not believe that the problem can be solved because of the time that this government has left. But that is not what's being discussed, sir. The issue that is being discussed is how can you go forward successfully regardless of time. That is what is being discussed. No, this government does not have, no single government will have enough time to solve all of the problems. As Rufus used the analogy, your grandparents started the solution or started a process. It is your job to take it like a race and move it to the next step, hand the baton on to the next person. That is why Ghana has I may have used the example of maybe the vice president, I don't know. But that government or that person who started that solution is lasting today. And then others are following suit. So it is very important that the audience understand we're talking about long-term solution and starting now. The issue of corruption in the government like Liberia could partly be solved with the solution of electricity. Because now some people in the government who are depending on this government to get to to give them money. We still need to go out there because there is electricity and start your own business. If you start your own little business, you're making more money from there. Why you want government job? Then the government gonna have a new problem. How do we recruit and retain good people? Because these good people are moving on. I will rest and continue to listen to your program.
Thank you so much, Robert. Let's get to this line and take this person. Hello.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's hear you. Your name and join us somewhere.
Yeah, this is Honorable, because Papa China, the commonly known as Chairman Omono of First State, Black A.
Chairman, let's hear you quickly.
Yeah, okay. According to your status in the studio there, our government can only be solved when we come together with ideas and then we find the solution. So finding solution is like this. Just like somebody said in the studio there. People can know the solution, but they want to get money out of it. And that cannot settle a situation. The village, if we come together only, this country is very small that we can enjoy. Correct. 24 hours. That's what the vice president did. When you went to big mountain and told the people you want to see if they can help us to have courage. People say, okay, we will only do that if you can help us to not pay tax for 3 years. All the 3 years taxes should be paid for courage, so that big mountain can help us to have courage. This all was said before, already, we heard it before. But presently, NEC has problems. Because they can say they want to help us to have meters. And for me, I send him a community. People didn't robbers. Committee says 6 months to go to talk. I always promise. When they can sometimes the home of you for power test. Why is it that they cannot carry a power test? Because we don't have meter. You see? So I have to go, I represent to talk for my people. And then the other man that was saying that is worker able to see about the current affairs to complete the position. You just say something. You cannot keep working today and work today. But you can start the process. And also can come and complete it. Government is a continuity. When you start, other people will come and do it too. You don't blame one man to do everything. But our problem is a lie on us. We are depending on people to help us. We cannot help ourselves. Help yourself before somebody helps you. That's the problem with budget at this. You don't have to marry a woman. You can marry a woman. It's not difficult to marry a woman, but how to keep a woman? How will you keep the woman? You marry and you're not able to support her. Then you see the person, the way she does things. Then you get angry and say, oh, I don't want this to buy again. So the problem is like that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We can take 2 more calls, then we'll call it a day, right?
That's fine. Bring the call. Let's talk.
0887 105 105 0778 665 073 0778 665 073 0887 105 105 and numbers to participate. We're looking at issues surrounding electricity and solving of problems. How can we think outside of the box to have a solution to some of the problems we are faced with? We brought in the analogy of the rental fees being paid back then by government to private properties. Some of these people were also working within the government. See the evil. They're working in the government. They negotiated deals that, my parent get their property here, can't rent it for office space. That money annually going to their family. And they are also being paid monthly. But at the end of the day, the burden lies on the government. Let's get there. Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon.
How are you? What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Laha Kuko, and I'm calling for the school in the community.
Let's hear you, Laha.
Okay, thank you. So the topic there is very important, and this is what I've actually been willing to be a part of, because I'm affected from the process a whole lot. From last 2024, the 6th of September 2024, the 6th to water staff, and I placed my complaint. And then I was told to take ID card or photocopy it on the paper, carry it. And of course I did. Then I was told to make a follow-up. Of course I did for 3 days. And then they gave me, for the commercial department there, a paper with numbers, because I have at least 4 apartments here, plus the 20 meters, so I just included everything. So they gave me the paper with the meters for the 4 apartments and the 20 meter as well. And then they told me to go to the next big building as soon as we enter LEC office on the right-hand side there. And then I got there, and then they placed in my information, and then I was told by these people to go and keep the lines open, and so that the technician will call me, find my location, come and get these meters on. I went there another 2 times. That is making it 5 times. And then I was told to go to a place there what they call customer advocate. I went there 5 times, and I was told no meter. The one that aggravated me was after I went there for the 6th time, which making it the 11th time of my going to water. This young man, because once you reach in our customer advocate office, telling me you're coming here, make no sense because if there's no meter, you won't get meter. So I got very angry, and then I raised a voice telling him that you understand that this meter only after you're supposed to run after me with it, because you see yourself sitting in full office, it is all because of the money that comes after the business you do. So you don't tell me it makes no sense for me to come. I can't see you, so why can I come to you? And so that's how I came and I sat down. From that time up to now, there is no way I can get this meter. The papers are right here in my hand. I went there 11 times. There's no way. So I don't know how they expect us to. I know that in the city, something like here is a major area of the city. So should I be here with doing nothing, no job, we have a full apartment for people to come there and they're current, so they price and pay my little money, so I don't have time for government. Then it start working. Then it's debt setting. So thank you so much. I'm very so happy to hear from you people.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Our final caller. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Your name and you join us from where?
This is Omar Bouzi.
From where?
From Tanase.
Okay, oh man, let's hear you.
You know, the discussion actually focused on the Liberia society. It's very difficult, as the brother in there has just been talking about. Nobody in this country wants any change. The LDC people, if this government, what kind of government wants to really succeed in providing life to people, it needs to forget about party line. It needs to concentrate on who is able to foster the people's will. That is, the services to the people. But no service. Our service, oh God.
Go ahead.
Our services are not rendered. Somebody said in the off place there in LDC, you go there, they need to change the hierarchy in that place there. That's what I think what can you do? Don't pay the people who are not ready to promote you only to come and make money. There are a lot of guys over there. I've been to LDC, my guys, similar problem. We got houses around. We tell you for meter, they tell us to go away. Sometimes they have called me, oh man, you go get a meter already. We'll set our houses at home and wait for them. Nobody coming. You understand? For almost since 3 months ago, some of us have been promised the meter will be delivered, it never delivered. Look, I'm surprised. I always go there and tell them, look, the customer service center supposed to be brilliant day and night, providing services. Transformer breakdown, the last transformer breakdown, people, we have to spend our own money. They don't even have people. They got a bunch of people who go around one truck. I will see 12 men in one truck just to go install one light pole. Can you imagine? Somebody else coming to the, somebody else living in the West for so long. We know when I say my light is off, they're going to be there. In the next 1 hour time, I will see somebody. What kind of country are we living in? What the investment will bring the country? It don't bring investment because energy is economic. As a brother has been advocating, energy is economic. If you don't have light, a lot of people living here out of the light, that's going to put their money in. But this government, our government, needs to really open their eyes. But they give the job to people only because they have been singing holy to the party line. Do not give it to people. That's what we are advocating. We should have a transitional governance system. A government that only gets people who are really winning the heart of what the black people want to be done. Not a party. This party line is killing this country. So that's my point there.
Thank you so much. Let's squeeze in this last person. Hello.
Yeah, I was to say what the line just now.
Shortly.
I all of that is, and lastly, they were kept telling me if I don't have patience, I should go to a miracle. I should go to a miracle. I should go to a miracle. And I told them I'm not able to give you $600. Where do I get money from? To get this 4 meter, I should go and buy 4 meters for miracle for $600. If I get that $600, why I can't I want to do a apartment to my apartment? So then they told me, but then you can still go and wait. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Philip. The line is buzzing, but time is our greatest enemy.
The point is just, like I said, I'm happy that the Vice President, His Excellency Jeremiah Kuhn, has come to, and he's testified from his own mouth that unless this energy electricity problem is solved, regardless of what government comes or what government goes, no matter what is done within this country would not progress, would not create the jobs, would not stimulate the economy, the Liberian economic ecosystem would not survive, because the lifeblood of that ecosystem is energy, is electricity. It affects every aspect of the ecosystem, from education, healthcare, whatnot. He gave multiple examples. So I'm happy that he's come to the light and he himself has testified about it. Now, the question now becomes, what is he and His Excellency Joseph Yuma Boaka going to do about it? Are they just going to identify the problem? Or are they actually going to move towards finding a solution and make the hard political decisions of firing the entire staff at LEC? That management team is single-handedly, directly responsible for all of the failures of the president, because the vice president concluded, regardless of what the president myself put into place to do, to implement, to execute policy programs in the arrest agenda, if these guys we appointed at LEC are incompetent and cannot keep the lights on, grow the grid, and manage the company effectively, we would be a failure. The failure will reflect on Jeremiah Kuhn and His Excellency Joseph Yuma Boaka. That's what the vice president concluded. So the president now has to make the tough decision, call the entire team from the MD and all the DMDs, line them all up and say, you're fired, get out. And find the right team of people who are competent, engage the right people, sit down with them, hold them accountable, give me a practical plan so that we can solve this CIE, Transco, CLSG, get the right investment team in here so that we can create an investment climate in the energy sector to create jobs and build a good energy future for this country. And until the president does that, he will not have a legacy. He will have a legacy of failure. He will have a legacy of failure, a legacy of failure. So again, to everyone who listened, everyone who called in today, thank you so much for Business Talk, Rufus, Divine Connect, and the Love FM team. Lila FM up there in Banga, and Kakata FM in Upper Magidi. Kakata, thank you to you guys for relaying our program. Thank you to all the callers and those who commented on Facebook. Thank you so much from Business Talk, from Ava and myself, to all of you guys. Have a great, safe, enjoyable weekend. We will continue next week. Rufus, thank you so much for the great work that you and the team does. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you, is Mr. Arkina R. Phillips. I call him the energy man. So, like I always say to you folks, there are two things in this life you always be remembered for: the problems you create and the problems you solve. And you must take responsibility of two things in your life: your fortune and that of your misfortune. Because Mahatma Gandhi said, and I quote, "The difference between what we do and what we are capable of doing will surface to solve most of the world's problems," unquote. My name is Rufus Divine Cannon. I lead and others follow. First among equals. Of course, I'm destined for greatness. Have yourselves a wonderful and God bless day. Follow the rest of our broadcast.
Bye-bye.
When the sun is shining bright